retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, as expected on Friday, RFK Jr. folded in with President Trump's campaign. Ultimately, after announcing the suspension of his campaign, visiting with Trump at his rally in Glendale. Here was RFK Jr. explaining in no uncertain terms why he left the Democrat Socialist Party.
It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money. When it abandoned democracy by canceling the primary to conceal the cognitive decline of the sitting president, I left the party to run as an independent. And
now why he is supporting Trump.
And these are the principal causes that persuaded me to leave the Democratic Party and run as an independent. And now to throw my support to President Trump. The causes were free speech, the war in Ukraine, and the war on our children.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, and a text line, the impact of RFK and his support for President Trump. He was polling at 3, 4, 5% in the battleground states, so that's not inconsequential. The question is, will his voters move, en masse to Trump? And the answer is probably more so than not. It probably provides a bump for Trump. Back when it was Biden, it was a bit of a different story. RFK Jr.'s candidacy was a little bit more complicated because you had a lot of disaffected Democrats that were supporting RFK Jr. because they were so demoralized by what they saw as an obviously incapacitated Joe Biden. He's lost about half of his support in the polls since Biden dropped out of the race, which indicates a lot of those that were supporting RFK Jr. have gone home to the Democrat Socialist Party. So what remains at 3 or 4%, 5% in some states, are likely, more likely than not, people inclined to support Trump, or even if they're nose holders for Trump, that's good enough. And if RFK Jr. is out on the stump for him, as he was on Friday in Arizona, and Nicole Shanahan, too, who I think actually probably would be the more powerful surrogate, depending on what she's willing to do, then getting those 2 or 3 or 4 points or some approximation of those back in states like Georgia and Arizona that are statistical dead heats right now, that's impactful.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that very same line. Do any of you out there have friends who are RFK Jr. supporters? Because I do. I have one. So the one friend, Dan, that I called and I said, now are you going to vote for Trump? And he's still deciding. Can't make up his mind. And because he was so excited about Harris, because he's one of those people that you were talking about that joined RFK Jr. because there's no way in the world they're going to vote for a senile man who clearly couldn't do 4 more years.
Well, RFK Jr. is not pulling any punches. And so to the extent that there is any gravitational pull from the left, he's certainly trying to cut that off. Here was his description of Kamala and her convention last week.
The DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, well, nothing. No policies, no interviews, no debates, only smoke and mirrors and balloons in a highly produced Chicago circus. There in Chicago, a string of Democratic speakers mentioned Donald Trump 147 times just on the first day. Who needs a policy when you have Trump to hate? In contrast, at the RNC convention, President Biden was mentioned only twice in 4 days. I do interviews every day. Many of you have interviewed me. Anybody who asks gets to interview me. Some days I do as many as 10. President Trump, who actually was nominated and won an election, also does interviews daily. How did the Democratic Party choose a candidate that has never done an interview or debate during the entire election cycle? We know the answers. They did it by weaponizing the government agencies. They did it by abandoning democracy. They did it by suing the opposition and by disenfranchising American voters.
And I go back to what Nicole Shanahan said last week on that podcast that we brought you. We wanted quoting Nicole Shanahan, his running mate, we wanted a fair shot. The DNC made that impossible for us. They have banned us, shadow banned us, kept us off stages, manipulated polls, and used lawfare against us, sued us in every possible state. They've even planted insiders in our campaign to disrupt it and create actual legal issues for us. The extent of the sabotage they've unleashed on us is mind-blowing. We're still learning new ways they have sabotaged us. So Nicole and Bobby learned the hard way just how farcical their former friends' claims of being the great protectors of democracy truly are. And Nicole Shanahan's description of what they've endured fits very nicely with what description of what Trump has endured and then some over the last 9 years. And so, again, to be a surrogate to say, hey, you might not agree with everything Trump says, and he may be given to hyperbole and so forth. But when he's talking about what he's up against, well, we went through it too. So let me just second his emotion because what he is saying is real.
And real quick, his siblings, Kathleen Kennedy, Townsend, Courtney, Carrie, Chris, and Rory Kennedy, they wrote, this is their response, quote, "We believe in Harrison Waltz. Our brother Bobby's decision to endorse Trump today is a betrayal of the values that our father and our family hold most dear."
Yeah,
it's a sad ending to a sad story.
Yeah, what do you expect? What do you expect? They close ranks. That's what they do.
Well, they're sick. I mean, your brother's political vision differs from yours. So instead of loving him and accepting the fact that he's different, they ridicule him. I mean, I know they have a candidate to support. They back Wallace or Harrison Walls, but come on.
So RFK was on Fox News Sunday this weekend, and he's going to be active. It wasn't just a one-day thing in Arizona, so he says.
Campaigning actively, I think President Trump is going to make a series of announcements about other Democrats who are joining his campaign. And I want to make America healthy again, and so does President Trump. So those are objectives. The Wall Street Journal may be worried about shareholder value for pharmaceutical companies, and I think I talk specifically to President Trump about that issue, and he said that he wanted to leave as his legacy healthy children, and that that he was unconcerned about the other implications.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal editorial board is definitely worried about RFK Jr. being too close to government. And look, I don't, as I've said from the beginning, I have no fascination with RFK Jr. just because he made some points about COVID and other issues, free speech, that are on point. Unless he walks away his dalliances with eco-supremacy and ridiculous. Actually, Wall Street Journal, ironically, good story about, and Holman Jenkins had a good piece over the weekend, too, about how completely futile and unproductive, counterproductive, really, are many of the policies pursued by the eco-leftists like RFK Jr. However, so it's a mixed bag. But he is an interesting cat. I'll grant him that. And I think he is more thoughtful than, well, certainly most on the left that are just sitting around waiting for their talking points from the central office to run out and rinse and repeat. And I'll get to that momentarily. Craig in Mount Greenwood, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. boy, this is a big deal, I think, in a major way, because these people that are like behind RFK Jr. and that, they're like-minded with regard to just what you're talking about, the big issue of the corruption and everything with regard to our elections and how weaponized they all are and everything. So they're going to really hop on board big time. And now these two are so like-minded in one regard. Like there's things they don't agree on. I don't agree with RFK Jr. But on this point of like saving America and basically trying to save get our election system back to something that's really a fair election. It's the very first thing we have to accomplish. Otherwise, we're never getting back in again and everything. So they're on what they have to be on, and that's just get our country back and get this government like a little less power to just take charge over everybody in that.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Appreciate it. Greg Schomburg.
Hi, Dan and Amy. I want to encourage everybody to listen to that speech that Kennedy gave from start to finish. It's one of the best speeches I've ever heard. It was given in front of an incredibly large audience, but you could hear a pin drop as he reported, documented fact after fact after fact, primarily as it relates to healthcare, obesity, as it relates to COVID, as it relates to the difference between our country and Japan and other countries. It was superb.
All right, thanks for the call, Greg.
My friend was very excited about that as well, but we can talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll pick that up for a bit on the other side, because there are also some things that RFK Jr. says that are not true. Directionally, certainly worthy of a conversation about the health of children and the quality of our food and our diets. All that is legitimate, chemicals and so forth that he talks about. But some of the things he says in terms of what's actually happening are just completely unsubstantiated. So we'll pick that up at 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Say good morning to Mike Scott.
80 degrees at 5:31. 2024 presidential race shifting into high gear this week. Both candidates set to hit the campaign trail. Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate kicking off a bus tour in battleground Georgia. Former President Trump and running mate J.D. Vance will also be in several swing states. The White House says President Biden closely monitoring developments after Israel and Hezbollah traded military strikes. In response, the Pentagon has ordered 2 naval carrier strikes to move even closer and remain on standby in the Middle East. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says he dropped out of the 2024 presidential race because of censorship by the major networks. In an interview with Fox News Sunday, Kennedy said it became clear to him that he had no path to victory after he was kept out of presidential debates.
It became clear to me that I did not have a path to victory. 16 months of censorship, of not being able to get on any network really except for Fox.
As of now, Kennedy says he has not been promised a cabinet position in the Trump administration. Police and officials in Pakistan say gunmen in the country's restive southwest have killed 31 in 2 separate attacks, 23 this morning. The National Hurricane Center says Tropical Storm Hector has formed well out to sea in the eastern Pacific. Center saying no coastal watches or warnings. Meantime, Hurricane Hone has weakened from a hurricane to a tropical storm after passing over Hawaii Sunday night. The National Weather Service says the body of an Arizona woman who was swept away while hiking in the Grand Canyon has been found. National Park Service officials say the woman was swept off without a life jacket Thursday, a half-mile above the Colorado River confluence. Chicago facing dangerous heat levels in the next couple of days with temperatures in the mid-90s expected with heat indexes of more than 100. The city's open cooling centers. Cooling centers are also open throughout the suburbs. Residents can escape the heat at several hundred other facilities, including public libraries. For CPS, not the suburbs as far as we know, all outdoor athletic competitions have been canceled for Monday and Tuesday, and for CPS outdoor practices for the next couple of days will either be moved indoors or canceled. Chicago police are searching for suspects who fired shots at officers yesterday during an investigation on the city's south side. The Illinois Supreme Court has left in place a lower court ruling that states the anti-slating law passed by Governor Pritzker is unconstitutional after dismissing a state appeal. A Sangamon County judge found it unconstitutional after Republicans sued. The state appealed. The court, with 2 Supreme Court justices recusing themselves, was deadlocked and then dismissed the appeal. Leslie Collazo is a Republican running for the State House in the suburbs.
You know, what's interesting is that I was a slated candidate, similar to Kamala Harris. And I don't understand why it was such a problem for me to try to get on the ballot, but then they go ahead and try to just shove this candidate in our face for president in 2024. Messages
to the offices of the governor, House Speaker, and Senate President in Springfield have not been returned. Cubs never led in a 7-2 loss to the Marlins. Andrew Vaughn homered in a losing effort as the White Sox lost to the Tigers 9-4. Bears had a defensive piece trading for Browns tackle Chris Williams on Saturday. They need to slash the roster by the end of cutdown day Tuesday at 3 p.m. down to 53. The news service of Blue Star Security. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecuриtyllc.com, bluestarsecuриtyllc.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the Salem Podcast Network.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's SPECTRIOS.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Join Allie Beth Stucky and the Illinois Family Institute for the Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, 7 p.m. Friday, September 6th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. For tickets, go to IllinoisFamily.org.
Christianity brings civilization, goodness.
Allie Beth Stucky, wife, mom, author, followed by thousands on her hit Relatable podcast. Hear her fresh and firm call for Christians to lead in Illinois, in America, for faith, family, and freedom. For tickets, go to IllinoisFamily.org.
Christians have always been on the front lines of human progress, set in love.
Allie Beth Stucky and the Illinois Family Institute's Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, Friday, September 6th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. For tickets, go to IllinoisFamily.org. IllinoisFamily.org.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Rollins family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Rollins Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
540, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. I-57 inbound shut down between 119th and 111th. It's an earlier hit-and-run accident involving a pedestrian with serious injuries. It's all being investigated, and all traffic diverted off at 119th. This morning, inbound I-57, a major problem. Tri-State right lane blocked with tire debris northbound at 75th. And on the Tri-State northbound at North Avenue, you've got a disabled vehicle blocking a right-hand lane. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Mostly sunny near the record of 97. This afternoon, partly cloudy overnight, very warm and humid. A low of 77. Currently 82. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, have you heard? Summer's political conventions are behind us, and the next big event on the political calendar is the first debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Here we go again. It's coming up September 10th, and we're hosting another debate watch party, so join us at Moretti's Unique Events in Hoffman Estates on Tuesday, September 10th, as we enjoy a buffet dinner and watch the debate together with fellow AM 560 listeners. Here's what you do. Get your tickets today at 560theanswer.com/debate. That's 560theanswer.com/debate, and we'll see you on September 10th.
All right, we were talking about RFK's endorsement of RFK Jr.'s endorsement of Trump on Friday and the impact it will have on the presidential election. It's hard to say, but it seems pretty logical that the support he was enjoying now with Biden gone and Kamala in, reduced as it has been, is probably more of those who have some distaste for Trump but have more in common from a policy perspective with Trump than they do the new Bolsheviks. Regardless, whether it's conversion or it's reversion, it redounds to the benefit of Trump, the 3 or 4 or 5 percentage points that of support that Kennedy, RFK Jr. is getting in some of these battleground states. And as he said on Fox News Sunday, as we brought you, he is going to be active. And I'm hoping Nicole Shanahan, his running mate, will be too. I keep focusing on her. Very few people are, but I think she has actually more upside than RFK Jr. does. Anyway, the issues that RFK Jr. raised as motivating him, and by the way, when Nicole Shanahan was rolled out as his running mate, she sort of echoed these issues. So it's interesting. It's the sort of healthy kids, mental and physical well-being of kids is something that really motivates RFK Jr. He talks about it a lot. It has led him to be sort of a notorious anti-vaxxer, among other things. And he described his motivating issues in his announcement that he's suspending his campaign in Phoenix, and then made appeals to those same issues and the solidarity Trump has, generally speaking, with him on these issues when he appeared with Trump in Glendale. But first, just outlining these views, in case you haven't heard them, you may hear about them more than you would have had RFK stayed out and run as an independent.
First and the worst is ultra-processed food. About 70% of American children's diet is ultra-processed. That means industrial manufactured in a factory. These foods consist primarily of processed sugar, ultra-processed grains, and seed oils. Laboratory scientists many of them formerly worked for the cigarette industry, which purchased all the big food companies in the 1970s and 80s, deployed thousands of scientists to figure out new chemicals to make the food more addictive. And these ingredients didn't exist 100 years ago. Humans aren't biologically adapted to eat them. Hundreds of these chemicals are now banned in Europe, but ubiquitous in American processed foods. The second culprit is toxic chemicals in our food, our medicine, and our environment. Pesticides, food additives, pharmaceutical drugs, and toxic waste permeate every cell of our bodies. The assault on our children's cells and hormones is unrelenting. To name just one problem, many of these chemicals increase estrogen.
Before we go down this road, I mean, here's the backdrop of what RFK is talking about in terms of kids' mental health and physical health, sort of a summary that leads you to the two culprits that he mentioned, the quality of our food, the industrialization of food production and the chemicals there, as well as the chemicals and pharmaceutical drugs and our environment more generally. Those are the two culprits he seizes upon, and this is what he alleges those two culprits have done to young people.
Are we allowing this to happen to our children? These are the most precious assets that we have in this country. How can we let this happen to them? About 18% of American teens now have fatty liver disease. That's like 1 out of every 5. That disease, when I was a kid, only affected late-stage alcoholics who were elderly. Cancer rates are skyrocketing in the young and the old. Young adult cancers are up 79%. 1 in 4 American women is on antidepressant medication. 40% of teens have a mental health diagnosis. And 15% of high schoolers are on Adderall, and 500,000 children on SSRIs. So what's causing this suffering?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. There is definitely an increase in cancer among young people. Mm-hmm. There definitely, well, we were talking about this before COVID, when pharma was an industry to be skeptical of rather than our saviors. You know, it alternates. It's interesting. Messiah, devil. Before COVID, though, we were talking about the therapeutic generation, and in America, generally speaking, the percentage of people that were on antidepressants or serotonin reuptake inhibitors that he's talking about, the SSRIs, and then that sort of went away, and now it's back again, particularly because the mental health of young people deteriorated that much more, as you know, generally speaking, during COVID because of the lockdown policies that were pursued in part. So I'm not saying that he's not on to topics that are worthy of discussion, but some of the things he says about topics, some of the conclusions he draws, are just not supported by the evidence. One of the things he said in Phoenix was female puberty is now beginning 6 years earlier than it was. No,
is
not
there proof of that?
That's just completely false. It's a little bit earlier, generally speaking, 6 months as compared to 75 years ago. But even though that's happening, you still have to make correlative, at minimum correlative, preferably causal connects. And he's not really made those. And when he talked there, you heard him at the end. I didn't want him to go off and have to listen to him another minute about, estrogen in the water kind of thing and the feminization of the culture and so forth. I mean, again, there is not dispositive scientific evidence on the subject. So, it's one of those things. Do you have a point to raise these issues about the quality of our food? I mean, there's certainly things that are happening that would cause one to ask questions. The increased incidence of celiac disease, the increased incidence of peanut allergies. What exactly is, lactose intolerance? Sure. So what exactly is going on in, sort of the big food industry, mass-produced food?
Well, it's because we eat a lot of processed food. I mean, try going to the grocery store and getting something that's not processed. Good luck with that. Well, Americans, we go to the grocery store once or two times a week. Our friends in Europe, they go every day because they get fresh food. They get fresh breads. They get fresh everything.
I understand. I know. And in Italy, you can drink all the wine you want because there's no sulfites in it the way there's in America, so you don't get a headache. I got it. The problem is then you have to actually look at sort of health outcomes. Things like life expectancy. And there's a lot of variables that go into these things. The incidence of systemic diseases like cancer. Sure. So it's all worthy of conversation.
Right, but he's not a doctor. And I remember during COVID, people were saying that, well, he shouldn't be talking to us about our health or if we should take a vaccination or not because he's not a doctor.
Well, those people are idiots.
Right. Well, but also, Bill Gates was. It's okay for Bill Gates to talk about it. He's not a doctor either.
Is it okay for doctors who are talking about it to be wrong? What you have an MD and all of a sudden you're infallible?
There are a lot of doctors were wrong. Actually.
Yeah, who believes that? Only a child, and there's a lot of them running around, and that's the problem. So I don't mind that RFK is raising these issues for discussion and investigation. I do mind that he gets out over his skis oftentimes, and I do mind that the policy recommendations he makes, and he was an environmental lawyer, with respect to sort of economic or ecological preservation, I should say, are basically evidence free and would come at a massive cost to both economically and in terms of our liberties. So fine to have the discussion, but just because you're raising it doesn't mean you have all the answers. How many times do we have to learn that lesson? Joe in East Dundee, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I heard that Bob used to be the agricultural, which
wait, Joe, you're breaking up. I didn't hear what you said.
That Bobby Kennedy wants to be the agricultural secretary.
Mm-hmm.
And I own a farm, and I know that all these seeds that we plant in this country are Roundup ready, whether it be corn, number 2 corn, or soybean. And that leaches into the food supply. It's carcinogenic. Yeah, I mean, it helps, bring bigger yields and stuff like that. But, I would, if Bobby's willing to go out with Trump, especially into Wisconsin and Michigan, I would rather see him as CIA director myself. I think that would be.
You and some others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call. Well, I mean, on that topic, and not to get too far off topic, but one of the things that Trump did when they appeared together in Glendale is make this announcement.
And this is a tribute in honor of Bobby. I am announcing tonight that upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And they will also conduct a rigorous review of the attack last month.
Finally, we'll find out who was on the grassy knoll. The other thing that Trump said he and Bobby will do together.
But Bobby and I will fight together to defeat the corrupt political establishment and return control of this country to the people. And to all who supported Bobby's campaign, I very simply ask you join us in building this coalition. It's a beautiful coalition in defense of liberty and safety, prosperity and peace. It's going to be an incredible coalition, and the relationship has been so good for so long, I have no doubt.
And actually, at that rally, RFK Jr. agreed with Trump that they will do this together, and that this coalition is going to displace the current one, the uniparty/war party that's often discussed.
And don't you want a president who's going to get us out of the wars and who's going to rebuild the middle class in this country? And he told me that he wanted to end the censorship because the whole basis of American democracy is the free flow of information. And we know that a government that can silence its opponents has license for any kind of atrocity. And can you think of any time that you can look back in history and say that the people who were censoring were the good guys? They're always the bad guys, because it's always the first step down that slippery slope to totalitarianism.
Yeah, that's a pretty good riff, and it's sort of like talking about Elon Musk. I mean, on those two issues alone.
So I think a lot of people thought when you bought Twitter that this is kind of an outlier.
On those two issues alone, there is common ground, and frankly, that's enough. Those are huge issues. Those are civilizational issues. Bob, Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. You broached the subject with regards to allergies. I'm just wondering what's going on. When I was growing up ages ago, none of my classmates had food allergies, and now I'm surrounded by a lot of grandchildren, and everyone's got food allergies.
Yeah.
Second, at my age, had some medical issues and had to take antibiotics. And I'm having interactions or issues with antibiotics. And there's a couple of antibiotics I can't take anymore because there's issues with them. So just offer that for you. Have a great show.
Thanks for the call, Bob. Something else about RFK Jr., as I was going back and watching previous interviews he gave over the course of this campaign. Again, you've heard my critiques of him, so I don't need to repeat them. But there is a thoughtfulness to him. He was asked on Rogan about this book that his father gave him shortly before he was assassinated. And it was a book by the existentialist Camus called The Plague. If you haven't read it. Camus and Sartre, the two preeminent existentialists. And The Plague is about, without going into too much detail, a doctor in Europe, locked down, unknown plague, killing everybody that gets infected, and what is he to do? Should he venture out and try to help people, even though he has no ability to help? He doesn't know what the cure is, and if he gets infected, then he dies. And ultimately, the point is that he goes out to at least provide comfort to people because that's the Hippocratic Oath. So he did his duty. The idea of doing your duty. And he went on after talking about that book and what his father was trying to communicate to him by giving him this book, and talked a little bit about some of the other philosophical bases that speak to duty, including the school of Stoicism and the myth of Sisyphus. Take a listen.
The iconic hero of Stoicism is Sisyphus. And Sisyphus is condemned by the gods because he does a good deed for humanity for eternity, to push a rock up a hill. And then when he gets to the top of the hill of a boulder, he can never get it over the top. It always rolls back down and on top of him and kind of mangles him. And then he goes up and does it again. But in the Stoic cosmology, Sisyphus is a happy man, because he put his shoulder to the stone. He was given a duty, and he does his duty. And and that self-sacrifice that he makes brings order to a chaotic universe. And, we're all living in a kind of chaotic universe. So for me to have kind of a concrete task that I know is right, and I'm open to criticism. I have a critical mind. If somebody shows me where I got it wrong, I'll change. I'm not dug in. I'm not hard-headed in that sense.
At least the mind, part of the mind that hasn't been eaten by that parasite. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm interested to hear more from RFK Jr. over the course of this campaign. Speaking of Sisyphean tasks, the Tribune retrospective on corruption in Chicago and Illinois politics, 6:06.
Hot and humid today, a high of 97 degrees at 6 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
Trading blows as ceasefire talks failed to produce a deal. Gianna Gelosi, Fox News. The Middle East remains on edge after Israel and Hezbollah traded a major barrage of rockets over the Israel-Lebanon border Sunday. Fox's Jackie Ibanez has more.
Israel says it carried out preemptive strikes against the Iranian-backed group prior to the showdown. The IDF claims it detected a large-scale attack was imminent. Both Iran and Hezbollah have been threatening retaliation against Israel for weeks now, following the assassinations of a top Hamas and Hezbollah leader. This all coming as ceasefire and hostage talks continue between Israel and Hamas in Cairo. A U.S. official says they have been constructive. Negotiators are trying to bridge gaps between the warring sides in hopes it will prevent a wider regional conflict. Talks are expected to continue over the coming days.
Russia hit Ukraine with a massive overnight drone and missile attack. At least 4 people are dead. Fox's Jonathan Savage.
Power and water appeared to be the target, with supplies disrupted in the capital, Kyiv. Explosions continued to ring out there through the morning rush hour. Ukraine's Air Force says multiple groups of Russian drones were used to assault all regions of the country. They were followed up by cruise and ballistic missiles. NATO aircraft in Poland were activated since the strikes came close to the Polish border. The U.S. Embassy issued a warning last week of an elevated risk of attack around Ukrainian Independence Day, which was marked on Saturday. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
With the 2024 presidential tickets for Democrats and Republicans officially set, the candidates setting their sights on key battleground states this week. Former President Trump is going to be in Michigan today, where he's going to speak to thousands of troops at the National Guard Association's annual business meeting. Vice President Harris kicks off a bus tour through southern Georgia this week. America is listening to Fox News.
$80 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago facing some dangerous type heat levels over the next couple of days. Temperatures in the mid-90s expected. Heat indexes of more than 100. The city has opened its 6 cooling centers. Cooling centers are open throughout the suburbs. Residents can also escape the heat at several hundred other facilities like public libraries. For the Chicago public schools, not suburban schools as far as we know, all outdoor athletic competitions for Monday and Tuesday have been canceled. Outdoor practices for the next couple of days may be moved indoors. Chicago police are searching for suspects who fired shots at officers yesterday during an investigation on the city's south side. Police say at least one person opened fire on sworn officers along South Dante Avenue. No one was hurt. The Illinois Supreme Court has left in place a lower court ruling that the state's anti-slating law is unconstitutional after dismissing the state's appeal. And police are investigating the death of a man found with dog bites covering his body in an apartment building in Chicago's Austin neighborhood. Police say they found the man in the vestibule of a 2-flat on West Quincy Saturday night. Found several dogs in that apartment. Cause of death remains under investigation. Cubs never led in a 7-2 loss to Miami. White Sox, a 9-4 defeat at the hand of the Tigers. They're the second fastest team to 100 losses. And Keegan Bradley celebrating PGA Tour victory number 7, winning the BMW at Castle Pines in Colorado. The news, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Executive Green Carpet Cleaning, and by Valdecast Windows and Doors. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Right now, Bettenhausen has 0% on new Jeeps during the Labor Day sales event at Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram on 159th Street in Tinley Park. Bettenhausen has 0% financing available on new Jeep Cherokees, new Jeep Wranglers, or new Jeep Compasses. Hurry into Bettenhausen in Tinley Park. Your best Jeep buying experience starts now at Bettenhausen. Showroom open 24/7 at BettenhausenCDJR.com.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds and conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Sebastian Gorka, weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, followed by Stacey Washington at 5. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
On August 30th, Reagan returns to office.
We are the greatest country in the world, and we have just forgotten it.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to him. I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make a difference in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall!
Reagan in theaters Friday, August 30th. Rated PG-13. May not be suitable for children under 13.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Blue Stars Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. The Kennedy starts the morning at 30 minutes O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. I-57 remains shut down northbound, the inbound side between 119th and 111th. You're diverted off at 119th after a serious hit-and-run accident involving a pedestrian. I-80 accident eastbound in Grundy County, left lane locked, blocked near Brisbane this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Ruth O'Brien.
An excessive heat warning in effect noon today to 10 p.m. Tuesday. Sunny to partly cloudy and hot today with a high up to 96. Partly cloudy, very warm and humid tonight, low 77. Partly sunny tomorrow with a high 97. I'm Ruth O'Brien on AM 560, The Answer.
80 degrees at O'Hare, 79 Midway. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The Chicago Tribune. I had no idea that Babylon Bee bought it. But I learned that the Babylon Bee had apparently purchased the Tribune. I can't confirm that, but I'm just going based on the content. By this retrospective they started yesterday on corruption in Chicago and Illinois politics. They're just aghast. This is the Chicago Tribune, including its editorial board that's chaired by a art critic. This is their impersonation of Kamala Harris's candidacy. They just showed up, and they cannot believe what is going on around here.
Really?
Enough already. They are not going to have it. Meet the public officials who helped build Illinois' culture of corruption, and they've got a dishonor roll of some, 200 hacks of both parties, the bipartisan combine, as Cass would call it. Oh. Terrible. Yeah. And this is just the beginning, because enough is enough. Dishonest politicians across Illinois make a mockery of public service. We break in with this news. Dishonest public officials in Illinois make a mockery of public service. It's so current, the Tribune. Again, they're just scratching the surface. So look out. Look out.
They're coming for you.
The remarkable thing, if I or anyone actually cared enough, I would go through this dishonor roll and document all of the candidates, all of the politicians on this dishonor roll list that the Tribune endorsed, often glowingly, that the Tribune ran interference for, including the kingpins like Madigan and Cullerton and Burke. Of course and Emil Jones, and on and on and on. Of course they ran interference for him. Every time they endorsed suburban Democrats who were going to be roll call votes for Madigan or Cullerton or Jones, you were running interference for Madigan and Cullerton and Jones and other Senate presidents. I don't know, go back to Phil Rock at least. That's what they were doing. Now they've had it. They've had it. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line, and text line. Let me read from this editorial. The wonderful reporters who, these fat heads and fat asses down in Springfield, like Ray Long. Good government, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they're just house organs for the powers that be. Really, literally state-run media. Post the disgrace. This is the editorial from the art critic and company. Post the disgrace of Madigan and Burke. We believe most Chicagoans now are well past the stage of chuckling wryly and rolling their eyes at such blatant corruption. They used to call Chicago the city that works, an accolade with a double meaning. Oh, please do explain. Thanks for taking time out of summer stock to tell us what this means. On the surface, of course, the city that works was a celebration of Chicago's working class roots, but it also referred to the way in which the state and municipal government provided services while also enriching many on the public payroll well beyond the respectable salaries they earned. Oh, heavens! The hell you say? Now, sobering thought here to close that I hope you'll all consider. Please talk amongst yourselves. The editorial board opines, we're not naive enough to think there will be no more chapters. But with Barack Obama on our minds, In the aftermath of last week's Democratic National Convention, we're audacious enough, to hope that tomorrow's villains will be one-off rogues and not routine products of a system rotten to its core. I mean, oh, man. Whoever reads that without tongue-in-cheek, whoever reads that editorial and is like nodding their head, oh, yeah, good point. That's how you, it actually should be like a test. Because if you want to understand the lobotomized portion of the population that is responsible for Chicago being the worst governed state in America and Illinois the worst governed state in American history, it's the people who, after 100 years of this, like, oh man, harump. Oh, that Tribune really gave that political class a stern talking to. They won't soon recover from that tongue lashing.
Honestly, if you didn't tell me that it was the Tribune, I honestly thought it would have been Babylon Bee or the Onion.
Favorite Rogues Gallery. Let's the dishonor roll. The dishonor roll should have the members of the Chicago Tribune's editorial board. They weren't party to it. The Chicago Press Corps wasn't party to the last 100 years. Oh, look at this dishonor roll. And by the way, these are just people like convicted of crimes. Or even indicted. Aaron Schock's on the list. I don't think he was ever convicted of anything. But, so if the standard is just indicted or shaming yourself in public, oh my gosh. A couple of hundred. How about a couple of 100,000? Mel Reynolds, Dan Roskinkowski, Gus Savage. Oh, sure. Let's see, Denny Hastert, Jesse Jackson Jr. Those are just some of the recent statewide. Your buddy Blago, Jerry Cosentino, Otto Kerner, the general, William Scott, George Ryan, Paul Powell. The cash, $75,000 in cash, or $750,000. $750,000.
Did it for $750? No, I'm kidding.
Let's see, you got Big Bill Thompson, the last Republican mayor of Chicago. Kerry Austin, Lawrence Bloom in Chicago. Even the reformers go to jail. Eddie Burke. Not
Eddie.
With the Tribune editorial, didn't they submit one of those character reference statements like Paul Vallis did for Eddie Burke? That's not the Eddie Burke I know.
Gary McCarthy sent one too.
Yeah, it's the Eddie Burke everyone knows. But hey, he's my Eddie Burke. Of course. Sandy Jackson, Percy Giles. Let's see. Some of my favorites here.
Munoz in there?
I'm sure he is. There's a lot to go through here.
With pages, right?
To Joe Kotlars. He's still around. Yeah, Ricky Munoz. He is on the list. Proco Joe Moreno, your buddy.
Gropo Joe.
Sure. Fred Rohde.
I got a deal for you, girlfriend.
When Corruption Was King. That's a good read. Gus Russo's The Outfit. I recommend. Oh, Danny Solis. He likes the rub and tug joints.
We
learned a lot about that on the wires that he wore. Patrick Daley Thompson, Fast Eddie. Sure.
If you have a wire, why do you? They know they're listening. Why would you go in there?
General Assembly members. Let's see. It's a real hit parade here. Oh, the Roger the Hog Stanley. He was Nick Sauer from Leafy Lake County. Oh, sure. Marty Sandoval.
Oh, Marty. That's your buddy.
Not anymore. He's gone, and he wasn't my buddy then either.
No, I know. I'm being facetious.
Terry Link. Sure.
I know Terry.
Yeah.
I bet I have all these cell phone numbers.
Sure. Let's see. Downstate and Suburban.
What are they doing now?
Bobby Natale, Stone Park. There's Always Fun. Of course, Betty Lauren Maltese. You just go on and on and on.
I miss her.
Oh, to Jerry Genova, Sin City, Cal City.
We're not even
Jeffrey Tobolsky, good government guy out of McCook. Yeah, right. And the judges, too. Don't forget about Greylord and so forth. Let's see. Favorite judges here. Oh, Richard Lefevre, sure. James Heupel, sure. Yeah. John McDonnell, Michael McNulty.
Somebody texted in Dan Walker.
Dangerous Dan Walker, sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We could be
Cook County, you got Billy Beavers, the hog with the big nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Ed Roswell. Yeah, I mean, on and on and on. This just scratches the surface.
Oh, that's good.
The Tribune has compiled a list of roughly 200 convicted, indicted, or generally notorious public officials from Illinois' long and infamous political history. But it's all good now. They're going to be audacious like Barack Obama. He's not a product of this. No. The guy who was carried around like a little designer puppy in the halls of power in Springfield during his sojourn in the state Senate. Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Dan Rush used to say that it wasn't the Democrat Party that controlled the media. It was the media that controlled the Democrat Party, and we don't see any Democrat media members going to jail, so it appears that once again Rush was right.
That drunk at the Tribune, one of the fatheads and fat asses, he's a two for Rick Pearson. Well, he was on the Faywell favors list. Why didn't he make the dishonor roll? Faywell got his wife a job at the Secretary of State's office. He was on the list. He was on Faywell's favor list under the infamous George Ryan regime. But no, didn't make it. Huh, interesting. Ron, Southside.
Hey, Dan and Amy, I had to mention Clifford Kelly. And the reason I had to mention him when he had a show.
Yeah, well, he did. He was reformed. Once you get a radio show, then all past crimes are forgiven. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He was reformed, but he would have these scumbags on his show, and he would always call them great. So at one time I called his show. I said, "Are they great because they done something, or because they come on your show?" He said, "Right. You just go away. Kiss my ass, Cliff Kelly." And you know what I said? Guess what? I'm not a convict. Ex-convict. Have a good day.
Thanks for the call, Ron.
I've been on Cliff Kelly's show. Were you ever on Cliff Kelly's show?
Yeah, I mean, Cliff and I were on a Dumont show a bunch of times. Right. I mean, I got along fine with Cliff, but I mean, Ron's right about what he said. Of course.
Everybody was great that we came on. The great. Did I ever call you the great Dan Prof?
I don't remember.
You probably felt that way, though.
But I like Tom's point, too. John Chase and Ray Long are doing the dishonor role. They're the great guardians of propriety and good government in Chicago and Cook County and Illinois. How's it going? John Chase, who, when he's not filleting Barack Obama.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Please. What a joke. What a joke this is. I mean, honestly, I'd love to meet somebody who takes any of these people at the Tribune and anything that is written there seriously. We got to do something to pretend like we're a news outlet in Chicago again. Let's go after corruption. That always sells. It separates us from the corruption, and it makes us look like we're the fourth estate, even for a fleeting day or two. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. One of the things that this article doesn't talk about is the legions of flunkies that got these people in office, kept these people in office, got jobs with the city, county, and state, are collecting fantastic pensions, regardless of their level of corruption and part of the whole thing. I remember one of Pat LeVar's flunkies used to be an inspector with City of Chicago, got busted for taking bribes, did his 9 months in prison, came out. Of course, the city had to fire him, and then got a job over at McCormick Place. It's the same old, regardless of who you're working for, what you're doing. They get their pensions, they get their paychecks, and nothing ever changes. You guys have a great day.
Yeah, right. Thanks for calling, Greg. What about the guys that flip and become lobbyists, or the guys that flip from being an elected official and go get 5 more pensions, like Ted Lekowitz, former Cook County Commissioner? Oh, yeah. No, he's not notorious. Absolutely right, Greg, to Greg's point. All those that fleece the system 7 ways from Saturday. All right.
Somebody texted in, damn, don't forget Don Harmon's relationship with Martin Sandoval.
Yeah, I mean, it's all incestuous.
Fast Eddie Verdoliak.
Oh, well, is the school superintendents with $10 million net present value pensions, is that part of the corruption, or is that just a good government? Which one is it? I'm a little confused. I need somebody to help me. Maybe those deep thinkers over at the Tribune can draw some lines for us so we know who's on which side. Who are the good guys and the bad guys? I know they're the good guys. Oh, yes. Comforting the afflicted and afflicting the comfortable, right? That's what John Chase and Rick Pearson and Ray Long do. Comedy.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and, of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Are you a business owner with a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, and a plan for growth, but you just need the right bank? Hi, Mike Gallagher here, letting you know that Signature Bank is all about going the distance for commercial banking customers. It's what Signature Bank does every day. Their team understands that accessibility is key to their culture. In times like these, you want a bank that is there for you to weather the bad times and capitalize on the good. And with Signature Bank by your side, you can't go wrong. It's a true partnership. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right, I'm a customer. I believe in what they have to offer, from innovative tech and customized solutions to help your business grow and thrive. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Former, and I think future, President Donald Trump was back on my program last week. My focus was on Israel, and that led to this exchange. Do you think President Biden and Secretary Blinken have held Israel back? Are they making Israel basically fight to a draw?
I think that Israel's being hurt very badly by the Democrats. I think they're making it very hard for the Democrats to win, very, very hard for the Democrats. What they're doing with respect to Israel, what the Democrats are doing, they're making it very hard for Israel to win.
The former president went on to say,
they have to finish the job. Israel has to finish the job, get it done, and get it done fast. And they have to do it. They have to get it done fast.
This is clarity. This is full-throated support for Israel. And it should flip friends of Israel and America, Jewish and non-Jewish alike, into the Trump column this fall. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office saying, I don't want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Right now, Bettenhausen has 0% on new Jeeps. Hurry in! It's the Labor Day sales event at Bettenhausen Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, now open on 159th Street in Lockport. Bettenhausen has 0% financing available on new Jeep Cherokees, new Jeep Wranglers, or new Jeep Compasses. Hurry into Bettenhausen in Lockport. Your best Jeep buying experience starts now at Bettenhausen. Choose from over 700 new vehicles. Showroom open 24/7 at cdjroflockport.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
I got a text that I sounded exactly like Ted Baxter from the Mary Tyler Moore Show in my sarcastic reading of the Tribune retrospective on corruption. High praise. If I can imitate Ted Knight,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I
remember we used to have
that.
dramatic readings. That should have been classified as a dramatic reading.
Yeah, could have been. Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
have to continue to hone my Ted Baxter voice.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, our old friend, photojournalist Christopher Arnatti joins us back from a 3-week tour of America, and we'll comment on why America has stopped dreaming. At 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Dan and Amy, good morning. We have 80 degrees at 6:32. And topping our news, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. telling Fox News over the weekend the reasons why his independent presidential campaign failed.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says he and former President Trump agreed to form a common ground on issues like the war in Ukraine and censorship.
16 months of censorship, of not being able to get on any network really except for Fox. And I had, in fact, when Ross Perot ran, in the 10 months that he ran, he had 34 appearances on the networks. I had 2 appearances in 16 months.
Kennedy says he was not motivated by animosity.
Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign says it's raised more than $500 million since President Biden dropped out of the race. Harris and running mate Tim Walz kick off a bus tour in Georgia on Wednesday. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson tearing into the Democrat presidential ticket and their handling of the economy.
Prices here in Minneapolis are up 22% from the start of Walz's tenure, just as prices are up 20% nationally under Kamala Harris.
Vice President Kamala Harris maintains a 1.5-point lead over President Trump. That, according to the latest Real Clear Politics poll average. The GOP campaign is in Michigan, with former President Trump speaking to the National Guard Association in Detroit today. 2 astronauts will remain on the ISS for at least another 6 months. NASA saying Starliner astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams will come home on a SpaceX capsule in February. The test of Starliner has been plagued by helium leaks and thruster issues since its launch in June. Chicago facing dangerous heat levels over the next couple of days. An excessive heat warning is issued. The city opening cooling centers. Cooling centers opened in the suburbs as well. For the Chicago public schools today, all outdoor athletic competitions for today and tomorrow have been canceled. Chicago police are searching for suspects who fired shots at officers yesterday morning during an investigation on the city's south side. It happened along South Dante Avenue in the Grand Crossing neighborhood. Police are investigating the death of a man found with dog bites covering his body in an apartment building in the Austin neighborhood on West Quincy Street. Officers also found several dogs in that apartment. The cause of death is under investigation. Chicago sports, Cubs lost to the Marlins 7-2, while the White Sox lost to the Tigers 9-4, and the Bears had a key defensive piece, trading for Browns defensive tackle Chris Williams on Saturday. The news, a service of Blue Stars Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains the gatekeepers.
The left owns the media, basically. So everything I report to you and many others about Kamala Harris or about Tim Walz is not known, not heard by the overwhelming majority of Democrats who see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. They only vote for evil.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
What a waste of time, money, and vacation days. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if you've had a bad knee or hip replacement surgery, you know exactly what I'm talking about because sometimes the surgery doesn't even work. But there is an alternative, QC Kinetics. Check it out before you go under the knife. QC Kinetics uses your own body's properties to repair damaged joint tissue due to arthritis or an injury. Folks, it's regenerative medicine. Think about it. If you cut your hand, it eventually heals. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself with a free consultation. And what's really cool is the fact that Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, the National Medical Director and former orthopedic surgeon, is located right here in the Chicago area. Call now to end your chronic pain and learn more about QC Kinetics. They have new locations in Gurnee and Crystal Lake. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Their video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
6:39. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Robert Half. Their recruiting professionals utilize their award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Kennedy, inbound, the off-ramp to Ohio shut down due to an accident. Now 47 in from O'Hare into the Circle interchange. I-57 remains shut down inbound. Traveling northbound on 57, you're diverted off at 119th due to a much earlier hit-and-run accident involving a pedestrian with serious injuries. Tri-State southbound, your right lane is blocked with tire debris. Again, that's southbound 294 right before the merge with 8094. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly sunny, near the record of 97. Partly cloudy, warm, humid, 77 overnight. Partly cloudy and 80 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Our friend and financial services guru turned photojournalist Chris Arnott recently took off on another trip around back row America, as he terms it, starting in Scranton, Pennsylvania. But his trip got cut short, as he recounts in a piece at Unheard, Why America Stopped Dreaming. And kind of interested to hear what he saw, why he cut his trip short, although I read the piece, so I have an idea.
But none of us know.
Yeah, and just sort of taking stock of where he thinks things are in America, talking to so many back row Americans over now quite a few years. If you haven't picked up his photojournalist retrospective from a couple of years ago, do so. It's called Dignity, Seeking Respect in Back Row America. Chris Arnott joins us now. Chris, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So you felt compelled, was it just to get a sense of where people are at and things are at, 90 days before an election, or what put you back on the road starting in Scranton?
Yeah, exactly that. I decided I kind of spent 10 to 12 years just driving around America, walking around America, talking to people, getting a sense for where their heads were, how the nation was doing, what they believed the American dream was. And I took a 4-year break from that, and I thought I would go back and do it again ahead of the election.
So this is like a post-COVID. You were off the road during COVID?
That's correct. I kind of shifted my focus to the rest of the world. And haven't really been focusing too much on the U.S. And so with COVID, and that basically derailed a lot of plans. But I decided to try it again, and I failed. I ejected myself after about a week. It was a planned 3-week trip, and it was just too depressing. It was too depressing for me.
What were you hearing from people? Why was it so depressing?
A lot of what I've seen before is still there, which probably is the most depressing. When I wrote my book back in 2017, when I was doing my most of my articles, I felt like what I call the people in the front row, the elites, the political class, the academics, would kind of look at it and go, oh, man, things are really messed up in this country. We need to fix things. Or we need to at least stop blaming the American people for our problems and kind of look at ourselves and say, maybe we need to think about how we run this country a little bit differently. And instead, they kind of buried their heads deeper into the sand. And just have ignored what's going on in their own country. And what's going on is a lot of addiction, a lot of depression, a lot of loneliness, a lot of pain, a lot of apathy, a lot of recklessness. And that's only been accelerated by COVID. The kind of the sense that we're not one nation, that we're a bunch of different isolated individuals who happen to share the same land, has only been accelerated by COVID, which has kind of tore us apart in many ways and accelerated a lot of bad trends that were taking place. This kind of, this kind of sense of it's all about me and it's not about us. And I think COVID really, the post-COVID landscape is very depressing. And in terms of politics, nobody really cares. I'm not a rude person. I'm not a journalist, and because I don't stick a microphone in people's face and ask them questions. I just kind of sit and talk and naturally have a conversation. And, if politics did come up, it was generally a sense of like, I really don't care who wins. I'm not going to vote. They're both awful.
Well, it's interesting. I go back to this when you to Eric Hoffer, often the longshoreman turned philosopher, and in his treatise on mass movements, he said basically there's a couple of things that need to be present for there to be a mass movement, like a paradigm shift in a society that is brought about by the masses, a mass movement. He said basically people need to believe that they're in control of their own destiny, and they need to believe things can improve. And if they don't believe one or both of those things, then they just sort of settle for the status quo because they are afraid things can get worse if they don't just sort of accept what they have at present. And it seems to me that's sort of what you're describing, which is really sad because that sort of fatalism just calcifies the way things are.
Yeah, there is a fatalism there. And, when I wrote my book, when I did my work back in 2015, 2016, I got kind of lampooned as explaining the Trump voter because I was one of the few journalists actually listening to people. What's much more common is I'm talking to non-voters, people who generally don't vote. And there is a fatalism, a sense of and that fatalism, that was there in 2015, 2016. And I think Trump offered a certain segment of the population some hope, this kind of refreshing change. And I think that's less the case now. I think 8 years later, there's a sense of kind of, we've seen this act before. If you talk to people who are aligned to Trump, it's, along the lines of, they're not going to let him get him back in power again. All the forces are aligned against him. And if you talk to people who are generally against him, it's that he's had his chance and he fell. So it doesn't have the energy it had. The Trump movement doesn't have the energy, at least from what I saw, that it had in 2016, 2015, for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. You write in your piece, you went from Scranton to Bristol, Tennessee. I got a buddy from Chicago who just moved to Bristol, Tennessee. Now I'm a little concerned for him after hearing your description of what you were observing. I think he's actually sort of in a nice rural part of it where he can fish and play with his dog, which is what he wanted. But I mean, just, what I guess instilled a certain sort of fatalism in you that you cut the trip short?
A lot of it was this, I've seen this before and it's not gotten better. It's like you watch a movie once, and you watch it the second time and you don't like the ending. You're like, why am I putting myself through this again? So there was that. I know I'm going to sound like an arrogant elitist here, but also there's a lot of ugliness in the United States that I kind of, just the way we build things, the lack of, it's like we build these shopping malls that look the same no matter where you are. I was sitting in a shopping mall somewhere in Chattanooga, one of these strip malls, and I'm like, I could be anywhere. I could be in upstate New York where I live. I could be in West Maryland. I can be in Florida. I can be in Texas. It's like we take this concrete prefab built building and we just bulldoze it in and we plop it down, and we don't put any shade on it. So I started noticing that America is immensely beautiful in terms of natural resources. If you spend a lot of time around the rest of the world, you're like, the U.S. has so much natural beauty that any country would love to have, but we put such ugly buildings in it. We just put these really prefab, cheap buildings that were made by companies that just want to maximize profit, and that's all they care about. So they build the cheapest thing they can build. And so that started to impact me, that sense of this is not a pretty country, at least what we're building in here. And then you see what people eat, and I'm very careful about casting judgment on somebody else's behavior, but a Kit Kat cappuccino and three donuts at 6 a.m, man, that's more calories than I eat in a day.
Yeah.
So it started to feel and I don't like to hate. I don't like to be that person. And so there was a bit, I kind of had to self-eject because I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be someone casting judgment on others that way. So I'm like, I'm getting tired of this.
Well, these pictures are beautiful that you took. I mean, they say so much, but I loved your conversation with Caroline, who was sitting alone in a McDonald's. Can you tell us more about her? And do you talk to these people after you interview them? Do you exchange numbers, or is it just one and done?
I mean, I try to give them some degree of privacy, but if they want a little bit less privacy, I open up and talk a little bit more to. I talked to her. She was there at 6 a.m. waiting for an interview. She was living in a homeless shelter, and she had been in a homeless shelter because she was escaping an abusive relationship. And that sort of endurance is why I kind of ended after I met her because I wanted to end on a positive note to remind myself that you can be angry at where our country is going, but you shouldn't get angry at the people themselves because the people are good. They have an amazing capacity to endure and to find goodness, even if there's not a lot of goodness around them. And so she believed in the American dream. She was one of the few. She came from her mother was an addict. Her father was long gone, and so she had been around a lot of abuse and a lot of addiction, and she herself wasn't that. She was not. She doesn't use drugs. She had been in a bad relationship, and she was really apologetic about her speech because she's having trouble speaking because she had a new set of dentures because her boyfriend had taken the others out with his fists. So that was, to me, the most positive part of the trip was to meet someone like her who, despite all she's been through, still has a positive, optimistic outlook, which I think ultimately is what I want. That's the image I want to have of America, is that kind of ability to endure, to hope for something better, despite a lot of problems.
It's just interesting. Just to go back to the Kit Kat cappuccino and 3 donuts. RFK RFK Jr. has made an issue of this, and some other people too have done so as well. I just wonder. I mean, maybe that's sort of a below the fold issue, and I'm not saying I completely subscribe to RFK's full analysis of the American diet and why it's this way, and the incidence of disease and so forth associated with it. But there definitely is something to the incidence of obesity and other maladies that have at least some connection to diet, and maybe that is something that that deserves more of an airing, more of a deeper dive, and to prompt a discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I 10 years ago, I didn't necessarily care what people ate or But now I think it does impact. It impacts your health. It impacts how you see the world. There's a lot of value to being physically healthy, and you kind of see that movement, kind of the gym bro movement, who are kind of like born again people in the sense that they have to go full. They have to go full on, no carbs, no sugars, no alcohol, to kind of insulate themselves against the prevailing culture, which is kind of a sense of like eat whatever you want, whenever you want. I do think, it's very hard to eat healthy in places, lots of America. There's just not a lot of options. Yes, you can go to certain grocery stores and you can shop very strategically, but what you're being bombarded with, the amount of kind of easy calories are just there. And I do think, when I kind of like, someone said to me, like, why are you shaming people? And I said, maybe we need a little bit more shame in our society.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing, right? Isn't that, your kids get shamed by their parents when they do something wrong, and it sticks with you. That's sort of the point, isn't it? I mean, not to treat adults like children, but the point is that that's a powerful tool when it comes to behavior modification. And oh, by the way, maybe part of the problem in America is this idea you do whatever you want, whenever you want, regardless of the consequences, because nothing is right or wrong. It's just living my truth. And that sort of libertinism or even nihilism that is more pronounced, I think, in our culture than it used to be.
Yeah, there is a kind of postmodern nihilism that you do whatever you want, what makes you feel good. But we are, our healthcare system and our government is one in which we are partially socialist, and so if somebody eats very badly and I have to pay for their coronary at the age of 45, which I ultimately do at some level. That we're in it together in some senses, whether we want to be or not. And so, I do. The other thing is just at a more empathetic level. You feel a lot better if you are eating healthy.
Yeah.
And that changes how you behave. That changes how you think. That changes how you approach everything.
Have your journeys over the last decade or so, have they changed your politics or perspective in any way? Faith, I don't know if you're a person of a particular faith tradition, but faith or politics or any way that you sort of see and understand America?
Yeah, I mean, I've become much more religious. I've become come back to the Catholic Church. I now, I go to Mass wherever I am, no matter what country I'm in. I've been to Mass in Muslim countries. Because I think, going back to kind of that sense of where you need something in your life that's bigger than you. And if you just focus only on you and you think whatever you do has no impact, that's a very meaningless, empty way to live. There is a much bigger part to being alive than just, eating as much sugar as you want and partying as much as you want. There's much more to life than that. And so I have become much more religious. And in that process, I would say I probably shifted right politically, although I do find myself kind of in no man's land where I kind of more empathize with people who don't vote because I just don't feel – I feel like the problems are beyond politics. They're cultural. They're kind of how we live, how we see the world, how we approach the world. And so in that sense, I'm kind of more of a, I guess, fit into what they call the post-liberalism camp of people like, who generally are Catholic intellectuals.
Chris Arnott is a writer and photojournalist, currently he did take a sort of a walk around the world, and then he was doing another trip as we were discussing. You can check out his piece, Why America Stopped Dreaming, at unheard.com and pick up his book, Dignity, Seeking Respect in Back Row America. Chris, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Lots to talk about with Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation. Elon to the rescue in space. Secret Service disciplinary action, as we reported with Susan Crabtree earlier in the week, as well as the arrest of the Telegram CEO in France. All that and more with Stephen Bucci at 7:07.
And later, lockdowns in Boston. We'll tell you why. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Dangerous heat heading for Chicago today and tomorrow. Police search for suspects in the shooting at police officers on the south side. 4 Chicago suburbs rated among the safest and wealthiest in the nation. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
An Israeli Navy soldier is killed. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. 3 Hezbollah fighters reported to have died in Israeli airstrikes, destroying thousands of rocket launchers. There's a heavy exchange of fire between Israel and Hezbollah militants in Lebanon, as the Biden administration's top military officer is in Israel. Ceasefire talks continue to end the war being fought against Hamas in Gaza to the south.
High-level talks have ended in Cairo, Egypt, with both Israel and Hamas blaming the other for a lack of agreement. A U.S. official says lower-level talks will continue, though. This after the Lebanon-based Islamist group Hezbollah launched what it says were 320 rockets and missiles at Israel's north. Israeli jets had been pounding Hezbollah positions in an attempt to thwart an even larger attack. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah claimed its attack was a response to the killing of a top commander last month, but had been delayed to give Gaza peace talks a chance. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, will kick off a bus tour through southern Georgia this week, finishing with a rally in Savannah. No interviews on her schedule so far. She hasn't given one since she was tapped to be the Democrats' presidential pick more than a month ago. And the vice president's been raking in the cash, however, $540 million since President Biden dropped out $82 million during last week's convention. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson, with reporters in Minneapolis, says the convention shows differences between the Republican and Democratic presidential tickets couldn't be more clear.
This is about facts over fantasy. It's about record over rhetoric. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz's records are absolutely horrible.
Former President Trump will be in Michigan today to speak to thousands of troops at the National Guard's annual meeting after laying a wreath at Arlington National Cemetery, marking 3 years since the death of 13 Americans in an attack at Kabul Airport in Afghanistan. America's listening to Fox News.
80 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago faces dangerous heat levels over the next couple of days. Heat indexes could soar over the 100 mark. City's opened up 6 cooling centers. Many more than that open up in the suburbs. Residents can also escape the heat at several hundred other facilities, including public libraries. Chicago police are searching for suspects who fired shots at police yesterday morning during an investigation on the city's south side. One person opened fire on sworn officers. No one reportedly has been hurt. Police are investigating the death of a man they found with dog bites covering his body in an apartment in a building in Chicago's Austin neighborhood. They found the man in the vestibule of a 2-flat, a complex found on West Quincy Saturday night. The cause is under investigation. A new study says Chicago's metropolitan area has one of the biggest inflation problems in America. Wallet Hub found that Chicago only trails New York, Minneapolis, and Detroit. Writer and analyst Chip Lupo.
Supply chain disruptions, energy prices, and labor market issues, which could be anything from increased wages that are pushing up production, and which is always a key to contributing to higher consumer prices.
35th Ward Republican Committeewoman Gladys Tanchez says the situation in Chicago continues to deteriorate.
Part of it is the problem. When has government ever did anything that, doesn't affect somebody's, taxpayer's pocket?
Both Lupo and Tanchez say taxes are the reason for the Chicago area ranking. The combined state and local sales tax rate in Chicago now stands at 10.25%. Cubs lost to the Marlins 7-2. White Sox second fastest ever to 100 losses after a 9-4 defeat at the hands of the Tigers. The news is service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of properties at Christie's International Real Estate. Experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. You'll get the most value for your home. 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains what power looks like.
Having Donald Trump on is deemed by the European Union as harmful content. It's a left-wing organization. Where there is enormous power in a government, it is overwhelmingly likely to be left-wing. The left is a big danger to humanity.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and tracking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
On August 30th, Reagan returns to office.
We are the greatest country in the world. We have just forgotten.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to him. I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make a difference in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall!
Reagan in theaters Friday, August 30th. Rated PG-13. May not be suitable for children under 13.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, appliance, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy inbound at 50 minutes into the Circle interchange. The exit ramp to Ohio shut down due to an accident in the cleanup stages. Stevenson inbound, jammed up from the Veterans I-355 all the way into Lamont Road. I-57 inbound, that's northbound, right at 119th. Traffic being diverted off there due to an ongoing accident investigation involving a pedestrian. 394 south suburbs, accident southbound right at US 30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Ruth O'Brien.
An excessive heat warning in effect from noon today to 10 p.m. Tuesday. Sunny to partly cloudy and hot today with a high 96. Partly cloudy, very warm and very humid tonight, low 77. Partly sunny tomorrow with a high 97. I'm Ruth O'Brien on AM 560 The Answer.
Partly cloudy and 80 at O'Hare. Clear, 72 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. As we're wont to say, the Babylon Bee is just foreshadowing. In 2021, the Babylon Bee penned the story, U.S. military introduces gender-neutral bomb, in keeping with the times, to make it LGBTQIA two-spirit plus compliant. Well, Biden-Harris Department of Energy official calls for queering nuclear weapons as part of radical DEI agenda. The administration announced the appointment of Sneha Nair, special assistant at the National Nuclear Security Administration, in keeping with the likes of Sam Britton, dearly departed from the nuclear waste sector of this regime.
Designer luggage stealer, yes.
Nair believes eradicating white supremacy in the nuclear field, as well as, quote, queering nuclear weapons, unquote, is an important part of DEI. Quoting her, finally, queer theory informs the struggle for nuclear justice and disarmament. Queer theory helps to shift the perception of nuclear weapons as instruments of security by telling the hidden stories of displacement, illness, and trauma caused by their production and testing. Queering nuclear weapons is, quote, essential for creating effective nuclear policy, end quote. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you wonder why things like Abbey Gate happened as we're on the 3-year anniversary of the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Oh, by the way, over the weekend, Hegseth on Fox and Friends spoke to a Gold Star mom, Kelly Barnett, who lost her son, Staff Sergeant Darren Hoover, in Afghanistan during that withdrawal, Abbey Gate, when the bombing occurred. Here's what Kelly Barnett said about the interaction her family has had, Gold Star family, has had with the regime.
Biden and Harris, no, of course they have not. They want this swept under the rug. They want us to go away. Unfortunately for them, we're not going away. We do know that, Millie has reached out to us, and we are in the talks with him to get more information and to see how what more we can get from him. But as far as the Biden administration, no, they haven't, and they won't.
Milley, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, is now in contact with them. It's noted he is now in contact with them that he's out of the administration. Since he retired, he's in contact with them. When he was in the administration, he was part of the wall of silence, too. Because, of course, covering their asses is what's most important. For more on this and many other topics, Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be back on the show. Thank you for having me.
So your message to Kathy Barnett and other Gold Star moms and dads on this 3rd anniversary of the Abbey Gate catastrophe?
Well, my personal message to them is that we're not going to forget what happened, and they shouldn't either, and that we would be proud to stand with them against this lack of communication, lack of transparency over something that should be 100% transparent. We're not supposed to hide when our service members lose their lives in serving this country. There needs to be truth found out as to why that happens, because unlike some of our enemies in the past, the Soviet Union, people like that, we're supposed to tell our citizens the truth when we screw something up. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case here. And it's distressing to see it. There's still, it's to say we still haven't gotten the truth from Benghazi, or at least not the truth from the government. So this habit of these folks of doing these things, okay, they're the leaders. They get to make the decisions, but decisions have consequences. If the consequences are bad, leaders, you are supposed to take responsibility for it.
Yeah, we see the same thing happening. We see the same thing happening now with Secret Service. We had Susan Crabtree from RealClearPolitics.com on the show last week. She was ahead of the learning curve, saying, here's what's going to happen. They're going to suspend some Secret Service agents on the ground in the Pittsburgh office and essentially cauterize the wound and insulate the leadership in D.C. from any consequences. And that's exactly what was announced. 5 U.S. Secret Service officials in Pennsylvania are on administrative duty. They're still working, but not allowed to be involved in anything operational. So this is the way they can pantomime accountability while protecting themselves. I'm talking about the leadership.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That I think we've talked about it before. Those campaign stops are designated national security special events. That is a term of art, a term of law, really, that then gives the Secret Service complete authority to manage the security for that particular event. That, more commonly it's things like the inauguration, the Super Bowl, anything where there's going to be lots and lots of people. In this case, because there's a former president and in the same body, the candidate for one of the 2 major parties at this event. And for the Secret Service say, well, it was the local police who had that part of it. No, the Secret Service owns all of this, and they can tell those people to do anything they want. They can, if they request assets from the United States Army, those people, they could send a 4-star general there. They're still working for the special agent in charge of that event from the Secret Service. So therefore, if they have that kind of uncompromising authority, they should have uncompromised responsibility, and that's not what we're seeing.
General, speaking of Joint Chiefs of Staff, the chairman now, General Charles Brown, was in Israel trying to participate, I guess, or facilitate ceasefire negotiations. That has not gone anywhere. What's your handle on the state of the effort to eradicate Hamas, number one, the engagement of other Iranian proxies like Hezbollah, and the prospect of war between Israel and Iran?
Well, first of all, the focus should be on trying to get the hostages back. Not get Israeli hostages. There's American citizens there. We need to try and get these people back. However, I don't think if you ask the American negotiators, if the part of this is the eradication of Hamas, they would say, "Oh, no, that's not our goal," and I don't think it is. It is Israel's goal, and it's the right goal. But the American negotiators are, that's not what they're doing. They're doing their best to avoid the eradication of Hamas as much as they can, and it's totally involved with pressuring Israel to make concessions to Hamas rather than allowing Israel to do what it has finally concluded it must do to protect its citizens, which is get rid of the radical leadership of Hamas. And until that happens, we're not going to have peace there. So that's where they need to go. It's not going that way. Hamas are the ones screwing it up because the Americans keep sending signals that they're going to continue to beat up Israel until Israel makes concessions to Hamas. So Hamas has absolutely no motivation whatsoever to make concessions to Israel, like giving up the hostages, which if they did, Israel would probably back off what they're doing inside Gaza and probably continue to put pressure on getting individual murderous terrorists that are in the Hamas leadership off the game board. But nobody in America, nobody in America seems interested in doing it. There's a bunch of us that seem interested in doing that. Unfortunately, none of us are working for the White House right now.
Another example of seeming incompetence from another alphabet soup agency that has some connection to our national security, that would be NASA. And these astronauts that are stranded at the space station because the Boeing Streamliner can't re-enter the atmosphere for whatever mechanical reason. And so now it's Elon Musk to the rescue, but it's Elon Musk to the rescue, I guess, sometime in February, according to the reporting.
It was supposed to be an 8-day mission, and now it's...
So here we have, is this another example, as I sort of intimated, of sort of the general lack of competence at one of our more sensitive government agencies?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of people who think, why are we wasting the money on doing all this stuff at NASA? But to be honest with you, one of the major things used to be that it was such a shining example of the leadership of American technology and science in the world. And now, not so much. It's really a shame that we're at the point now where, we've got to go, okay, who can rescue us and get us out of this horrific situation we're in? Because we've got people stranded up there. Now, another couple of months before they can get them down. Thank goodness there isn't some sort of medical issue going on up there or something like that. It is a symbol of the incompetence. This, if you talk about, trying to queer things, when you put DEI and other woke concepts to the forefront, it doesn't produce excellence. It produces, at best, mediocrity, and in some cases, complete lack of competence. And that's what we're seeing here. And geez, now we're going to do that with our nuclear weapons. Doesn't that make a lot of sense?
And then if Elon Musk ever decides to follow Pavel Durov over to France, he'll be arrested. At least that's the that's the perspective of the EU minister that sent a warning shot across Musk's bow last week. And now we have an actual arrest. The CEO of Telegram, Pavel Durov, arrested on crimes that he is complicit in any crimes planned or committed on his platform, which is a unbelievably broad legal standard. It would be unconstitutional in this country, but he's not in this country. He's in France. Durov had interviewed, sat down for an interview with Tucker Carlson not so long ago, and listen to what he said about his interactions with both political parties in America.
Have you come under pressure from other governments to accommodate their demands?
Well, of course. Telegram is a large platform.
Can you give us an example of a request that you thought crossed into censorship and spying?
I would say a very funny story related to your home country. After the events of January the 6th, we received a letter from congressmen of the Democratic side. They requested that we would share all the data we had in relation to what they called this uprising. And we checked it with our lawyers, and they said, you better ignore it. But the letter seemed very serious. The letter said, if you fail to comply with this request, you will be in violation with the U.S. Constitution or something.
So they wanted data on people who voted for the other guy in the election.
What's funny about that is 2 weeks after that letter, we got another letter from the Republican side. We read that if we give out any data according to the previous request, we would be in violation of the U.S. Constitution.
Well, so he's hearing from both parties, but at least one party is talking to him about maintaining his privacy standards and separation from the federal government not doing its bidding, while the other party, the Democrats, are talking about him folding into the state, a la the pressure they put on Twitter and other social media platforms that we know from the Twitter Files reporting. But I mean, so this is where things are at, and this is despite our Constitution, which is supposed to distinguish us from Western Europe. Despite that, we have some of the same things going on, maybe not at the same pace, but certainly the same path.
Yeah, there are people who think we should not just creep towards that European methodology, but we should gallop there and get there as soon as possible because they think that's correct, that we should have that kind of control, that people shouldn't say anything that's hate speech. But now that's, we used to have some arguments about what was hate speech on the fringes, but in the main, you knew, when someone said something blatantly racist or anti-Semitic, that was not appropriate. Now, it's defined by whatever I don't like or whatever I even mildly disagree with, that I can then declare that that's hate speech, and I should have the thought that the government is going to go out and enforce my definition of hate speech on everybody else. That is insanity, and that is not what our Constitution protects. It's not a self-definition for these things. It's supposed to be something defined by the court. How long did it take them to get to the idea that you couldn't say, fire in a crowded theater? That's the one they always use in school when they talk about this, because they used it in the court case, that's not protected speech. Well, that's a long way from saying, I disagree with you, Joe Biden or Donald Trump, therefore you should be silenced. But now that's the expectation people have, because they see it in other countries and say, well, the Europeans, they're very civilized people. We should agree with that.
Europeans are very civilized people. They're arresting people like Pavel Durov the way that the Chinese communists put Jimmy Lai in prison. I mean, at some point, somebody in America needs to stand up not only for our constitution protected rights here, but also offer some commentary on what is happening in places like France and England, where they're arresting people for thought and speech crimes.
Yeah, I mean, we had that it was last week or the week before, a British police official saying that he felt he had the right, when people said things on the internet that violated UK law for speech control, that they should be able to indict them in England
and extradite.
Request extradition.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Again, we fought a couple of wars with those guys, so that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, but it might happen here, especially if Harrison Walls, get in the Oval Office, because Tim Walz said, quote, "There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation." And who determines what's misinformation?
Yeah, as defined by him. That just is scary. It should scare people in both parties because I hate to tell you, they're not just going to come for conservatives. They're going to come for anybody that disagrees with them as that kind of thought process continues.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen Bucci, thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Thanks. You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As a business owner, do you have a strategy for exiting your business? Most business owners don't. Studies done by the Exit Planning Institute show 75% of business owners who don't have an exit plan are dissatisfied with their exit, and 80% of businesses put to market never sell. Total Clarity Wealth Management understands the hesitation to discuss exiting. Will customers leave? Will competitors take advantage? Will key employees leave? That's why they offer confidential planning. Contact Anne-Marie at Total Clarity Wealth Management. Discover what the financial foundation should be to pursue an exit that is satisfying. At some point, you are going to leave your business. Will it be on your terms? Total Clarity can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Anne-Marie is a certified exit planning advisor. Visit TotalClarityBusiness.com. That's TotalClarityBusiness.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auctions. Donley Auctions wants your stuff. They have buyers. They need your items. If you're a collector, contact them and find out the market value. If you know a collector, tell Donley about them. If they sell it, you'll get a Donley's finder fee. Cha-ching, cash in your pocket. Randy, what are you on the hunt for now?
Hi, Sean. I'm currently looking for old guns and military items for upcoming auction. We need old helmets, uniforms, swords and flags, and daggers from any war, especially World War II items of American, German, and Japanese armies. They're always the top sellers. If you have old Japanese samurai swords that a relative brought back from the war, definitely call me because you could be sitting on a fortune.
Do you have any of these? Call Donley. You know anyone that has any of these things? Call Donley and get Donley's finder's fee. Donley Auctions, 815-923-7000. Tell them Sean sent you. Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot-long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and, of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, there is no partnering with leftist organizations. You just can't do it if you're not a leftist. 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Dan and Amy, 7:31. Hot and humid and a chance of hitting 100 today. A Syrian man overnight was ordered held on suspicion of murder and membership in a terror organization connected with a Solingen knife attack that left 3 dead and 8 wounded at a festival marking the German city's 650th anniversary. German officials now promise more deportations after the terror attack. The White House says President Biden is closely monitoring the situation in the Middle East after Israel and Hezbollah exchanged attacks over the weekend. Here's Fox's Jonathan Savage.
High-level talks have ended in Cairo, Egypt, with both
a lack of agreement. A U.S. official says lower-level talks will continue, though. This after the Lebanon-based Islamist group Hezbollah launched what it says were 320 rockets and missiles at Israel's north. Israeli jets had been pounding Hezbollah positions in an attempt to thwart an even larger attack. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah claimed its attack was a response to the killing of a top commander last month, but had been delayed to give Gaza peace talks a chance. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
The Pentagon has ordered 2 U.S. naval carrier strike groups to remain in that region. The Harris-Walz campaign is in the South this week, and the Trump-Vance campaign is heading north. Massachusetts Democrat Congressman Seth Moulton joined Fox's Sunday Night in America, highly critical of one of former President Trump's policy proposals.
He says he's going to have massive tariffs that people think sound good, but actually tariffs increase inflation. So if you care about inflation and you want inflation to continue coming down, it's been bad under the Biden administration, but they've done a remarkable job at bringing it down.
Former President Trump and running mate J.D. Vance each have a stop in Michigan. A free expression policy is being enacted for Rutgers University's 3 New Jersey campuses. The new protest policy requires applications for a permit to be completed 3 days prior to a protest and prohibits encampments. Wall Street hopes to ride the momentum of last week's finish. When the opening bell rings this morning, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell confirming that the central bank is almost ready, to start cutting interest rates. Chicago facing some dangerous heat levels over the next couple of days. Temperatures in the mid-90s expected. Heat indexes of more than 100. The city and suburbs have opened cooling centers, and residents can escape the heat at several hundred other facilities, including public libraries. Chicago police are searching for suspects who fired shots at police yesterday morning during an investigation on the south side. It happened along South Dante Avenue in the Grand Crossing neighborhood. Cubs never led in a 7-2 loss to Miami, while the White Sox are the now second fastest team to 100 losses after a 9-4 defeat at the hands of the Tigers. The news service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk knows who's running this country.
Elon Musk and Donald Trump do not need to be in this fight. But there's something very special, and they know that the current rotten to the core ruling class must be removed, that they are poisoning this country, from the media to the DC decision makers to the big tech oligarchs.
The Charlie Kirk Show, afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
What a waste of time, money, and vacation days. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if you've had a bad knee or hip replacement surgery, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because sometimes the surgery doesn't even work. But there is an alternative, QC Kinetics. Check it out before you go under the knife. QC Kinetics uses your own body's properties to repair damaged joint tissue due to arthritis or an injury. Folks, it's regenerative medicine. Think about it. If you cut your hand, it eventually heals. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself with a free consultation. And what's really cool is the fact that Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, the National Medical Director and former orthopedic surgeon, is located right here in the Chicago area. Call now to end your chronic pain and learn more about QC Kinetics. They have new locations in Gurnee and Crystal Lake. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Rollins family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Rollins Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdeliveryservice.com when you need the same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed pros. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. Kennedy inbound, very heavy, 71 minutes this morning. O'Hare all the way into the Circle interchange. While the Ike-In is at 75 minutes, 390 into the old post office. Stop and go Wolf to Costner. Dan Ryan Express lanes all jammed up inbound, 51st up through the Stevenson, and they're beginning to reopen I-57 on the inbound side, right at 119th, where there was an earlier fatal accident involving a pedestrian. All traffic for a long time was diverted off at 119th. We understand things are slowly beginning to reopen. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Mostly sunny, near the record of 97 today. Partly cloudy and 77 overnight. It's 80 right now at O'Hare, 75 in Joliet, 72 in Kankakee, 78 Lakefront. And your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Robert Conquest, British-American historian. For a time, he was a member of the Communist Party in Britain, which is how he developed his 3 laws of politics. He understood what totalitarianism looked like and the mentality behind it. And they're applicable in America today, applicable everywhere, but particularly the West today, as politics has insinuated itself everywhere, especially in a government-centric city and state like Chicago and Illinois, right? His second law of politics, Robert Conquest's second law of politics, any organization not explicitly and constitutionally right-wing will sooner or later become left-wing. Let me add a corollary to that, if I could. In addition to that being the case, any organization not explicitly and constitutionally right-wing will eventually become left-wing, which is why the smart philanthropist puts a sunset date on his foundation so future generations can't pollute it the way they did. So say, I don't know, the MacArthur Foundation, the McCormick Foundation. The The Olin Foundation is much a better model. But the corollary is this. And once they become left-wing, any organization, then if you're conservative, there is no partnering with them. Forget trying to find common ground or middle ground or whatever sort of compromised ground you want to identify. There is no working with them. Because as Anthony Esolen, the great Catholic thinker, philosopher, political scientist, said, the whole business of this totalitarian left is to jackpot their neighbor. They are people who operate in bad faith. So they will use people with whom they disagree for a time until that disagreement becomes problematic or there is a political opportunity to cast them aside or worse in order to advance their political disposition, their political agenda. So last week, we drew the ire, me especially, drew the ire of the keyboard warriors on Reddit and social media. You know, all these p-hats that live in their parents' basements or some Antifa commune who are just sort of like a pack of hyenas. They go from one target to the next and try and carve up anybody who disagrees with them. And we drew their ire because I made fun of Tim Walz's kid and their interaction during Tim Walz's speech at the convention. I didn't realize that Walz's kid, you know, the whole "I love you, that's my dad," pointing to his dad. I didn't realize that Tim Walz's kid had a diagnosed neurodivergent condition, a learning disability, which we talked about and I talked about on Friday at the beginning of the show when I apologized for the comments I had made on Thursday. And then we got a call at the end of the show on Friday from one of these p-hats, you know, making all sorts of threats. Oh, I'm going to call Envision, which is a nonprofit I'm affiliated with, and call Edmondson High School, you know, where Amy coaches and so forth. Then I'm going to go after you. We're going to get all my friends and we're going to make calls and we're going to be hysterical because that's what we do. He didn't quite put it in those words, but that's translating it. That is what they do. And we're going to try and, you know, punish you for the mistake that you made because it's an opportunity for us to do so. And my response was, go get all your friends and shout it from the rooftops. Go get all your friends and make all your calls and send all your emails and post all your tweets and do whatever you want to do. Bring your worst. Because I'm not somebody who gets beat up in a back alley. And moments like these are where you find out who's really where. You find out what organizations are really made of. And so with respect to Envision, they did, and I got a call from the CEO of Envision, Mark McHugh. And, I mean, I just said to him what I said in the show is like, he had heard what I said. He had heard the apology. So I said, you know, I don't have anything more to say about it. I mean, that's what it is. And, but he was nervous, I could tell, because Envision, social service provider, is dominated by the left. I mean, Dick Durbin's nephew is on the board, and most of the board is left. You know, me and maybe one other guy or two other guys are a couple of the exceptions. So anyway, this is all transpiring, and he's nervous. And there was a communication email that went out among board members, and a couple board members, to their credit, stood up for me. And then I got a call back Friday afternoon that I missed, and so I called Mark on Saturday afternoon, and he said, yeah, we're going to have to separate. Oh, damn. I'm like, okay. What, you didn't think I expected it? You didn't think I know who you are? You didn't think I knew, you didn't think I knew who this organization was and who it's comprised of? SEIU bargaining unit, a bunch of leftist dilettantes on the board like Durbin's nephew, who, by the way, you know, was happy to let me set up, you know, golf at Beverly for him and his friends when I, you know, submitted foursomes at these clubs and that clubs to raise money at the fundraisers that we did for Envision and so on and so forth. So it's fine. I mean, what my punishment is what? I can't be a volunteer fundraiser for your organization anymore? Okay. And I didn't want to get into it on Friday, but I'll get into it now. Because I saw like these fat heads and these fat asses and these folk singers like Zorn and Rick Pearson and Steve Cochran, everybody's so virtuous singing, like, oh, they're so aghast and so on and so forth. Right, okay. So let's see. I've been talking about the dearth of quality services for the DD and ID community since I ran for governor in 2009, 2010. I'm the one who was parroting and promoting the Illinois 51st out of 50 and providing services for the developmentally disabled, despite all of the high-minded talk from all of these dilettantes in the media as well as politicians. Oh, I'm so committed to the truly vulnerable, and yet 51st out of 50. That's the reality. And people wouldn't have known that. Very few people would have known that if you're not in the community or you listen to my show or you follow my candidacy, because nobody else in the arena was talking about it except those who are part of social service providers. In addition to that, over the last 6 years or so, I've hosted a golf outing at Olympia Fields for Envision. I mean, I've literally written tens of thousands of dollars in checks to Envision, and I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars more. It's fine. My opinion of what Envision does hasn't changed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done all that. I think Envision is a good nonprofit. I think they provide quality services to the DD and ID community. But they also showed you who they were in this moment, that they're cowards. And all the people around them showed you who they are, too. You're punishing me by not having me raise or write tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars in support for Envision for the services they provide for the developmentally intellectually disabled. And you're doing what for that community? Oh, you're punishing a conservative. Good for you. And that helps one person in that community? How? Oh, and by the way, I should also hasten to add, in terms of the neurodivergency issue, this is a crowd that is completely on board for the mutilation of children, many of whom have a diagnosed neurodivergent condition, who are on the spectrum. But yet in the political zeitgeist of the time, it's break out the scalpels. But they're so concerned. They're so genuine and productive. And they've got the work product to back it up about their concern for vulnerable young people. Okay. So, I mean, fine. One more thing that untethers me from Chicago. There are many other organizations in this space, in the state and elsewhere. What do I care? If I can help the developmentally and intellectually disabled in Florida, what's the difference? But the point is to say, any organization, if you're a conservative, that is left, know what your shelf life is. Understand that at any moment, for any reason, if this intemperate mob comes for the organization, then they will happily cast you overboard, which I knew because we've documented these stories for the last decade. I mean, Brendan Ike, for God's sakes, wrote a $1,500 check to the Defense of Marriage referendum in California, and the board took a company he founded, Mozilla, took the company away from him, effectively, because he lost control of the board. He lost control of the organization. He was exposed. So just understand, if you're exposed, they will prey on that exposure as soon as they can if it advances their political positioning. And that's what this is all about, political positioning. Now they can run around and say, we got profit out of Envision. Okay. It's like when Rahm had me thrown off the board of the precursor to Empower Illinois, the school choice organization in Chicago. Okay, we'll talk about school choice, but you have to get profit off the board. I know this because I heard it from board members. I said, well, fine, I'll get off the board. I don't care. It's not about me being an unpaid board. I don't need titles. So I'm happy to get off the board if you guys can work with Tiny Dancer to advance school choice, which I did. Fine. But that's how it is. That's how the totalitarianism of the left manifests itself. That's how all of civil society folds into the state. And this is who the left is. So you just have to decide where you want to pick your spots, where you want to try to do good deeds, and how you want to fight when they come for you. Because as we've been saying for years, when these stories after stories about academics losing their positions and artists being boycotted and people losing their companies, like you don't think this is real until it's at your doorstep. It's real. And it continues to be.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With halfpriceschools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, halfpriceschools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality. And that can be the reality for you and your child too. Just go to halfpriceschools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Former, and I think future, President Donald Trump was back on my program last week. My focus was on Israel, and that led to this exchange. Do you think President Biden and Secretary Blinken have held Israel back? Are they making Israel basically fight to a draw?
I think that Israel's being hurt very badly by the Democrats. I think they're making it very hard for the Democrats to win, very, very hard for the Democrats. What they're doing with respect to Israel, what the Democrats are doing, they're making it very hard for Israel to win.
The former president went on to say,
they have to finish the job. Israel has to finish the job, get it done, and get it done fast. And they have to do it. They have to get it done fast.
This is clarity. This is full-throated support for Israel. And it should flip friends of Israel and America, Jewish and non-Jewish alike, into the Trump column this fall. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Ugh, me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel Services, more than just the manufacturing industry, they also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you. Or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit suburbanweldingandsteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. suburbanweldingandsteel.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Well, Dan, I just want to, my heart hurts for the kids that you used to help.
Adults mainly, actually, because it's people who've aged out of the system. But yeah,
That's what I'm sorry. The people.
but that's how it
I
is.
Find anybody.
Kevin, Austin, Texas. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Amy and Dan. Dan, I just wanted to tell you, there are plenty of conservative parents of children with special needs. I'm one of them, and I would go toe-to-toe with any radio host that said disparaging remarks or insults. In fact, I have in the past. I think what you did was a simple mistake, and it's okay. There are plenty of organizations and plenty of parents that would support you, that are conservative, that aren't cowards. So I want to encourage you to keep at it, and I think the work that you do is noble. So I just want to, as a dad with a child with special needs, I have a daughter with Down syndrome, that I know the work that you do is good, and I've heard it from a lot of people. So
Thanks for the call, Kevin. Appreciate that. I will. I'll find a place, but it's just like I won't do anything with any organization that is dominated by the left because there's no point to it. There's no point to it.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of thought and speech crimes and totalitarianism, Elon Musk on Bill Maher over the weekend, he had some thoughts on the topic. 808.
Today we're going to have unseasonably warm temperatures, a high of 97 degrees. It is now 8 a.m. WIND.
The campaign trail is heating up. Gianna Gelosi, Fox News, another busy day ahead for the Trump and Harris campaigns.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump are kicking their campaigns into high gear. Former President Trump is heading to Michigan. Today, he'll be speaking at the National Guard Conference. Trump's speech to troops comes on the third anniversary of the attack at Abbey Gate outside Kabul airport, which killed 13 U.S. service members. The Afghanistan withdrawal marked one of the lowest points of the Biden administration. Harris and her running mate Tim Walz, meantime, are getting ready to kick off a bus tour in Georgia. Democrats are hoping to capitalize on their momentum from the Democratic National Convention.
That is Fox's Madeline Rivera. Former President Trump posted to Truth Social that the, quote, botched Afghanistan withdrawal was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. The U.S. sending officials to the Middle East to help cool the temperature after Israel and Hezbollah exchanged rocket fire over the weekend. Fox's Trey Yingst has the latest.
Joint Chiefs Chairman C.Q. Brown is in Israel today for meetings. He will speak privately with Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, I'm told. The top U.S. general's visit comes with American assets spread throughout the region to deter Iran and its proxies from further attacks. With ceasefire talks ongoing in Cairo, once again, at the working level, U.S. officials remain hopeful that a deal to end the war in Gaza could de-escalate regional tension. The talks over the weekend were described as constructive, but they were also immediately rejected by Hamas.
Hamas is calling for Israel to remove troops from the border between Gaza and Egypt. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says a Russian overnight attack involved over 100 missiles and about 100 drones, calling the barrage vile. Zelensky says there were deaths and dozens of injuries, and the attacks damaged the country's energy sector. Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Lviv were all hit. America is listening to Fox News.
.802 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago faces dangerous heat levels in the next couple of days. Temperatures in the mid-90s, heat indexes soaring over 100. The city and suburbs opening cooling centers, and public libraries will be open for residents as well. For the Chicago public schools, all outdoor athletic competitions have been scheduled for Monday and Tuesday have been canceled, and outdoor practices may be moved indoors. Chicago police are searching for suspects who fired shots at police yesterday during an investigation on the city's south side. It happened on South Dante in the Grand Crossing neighborhood. No one was hurt. Police continue investigating the death of a man they found with dog bites covering his body. It happened in an apartment building in Chicago's Austin neighborhood. Police say they found the man in the vestibule of a 2-flat apartment complex along West Quincy Saturday night. A cause is under investigation. Brand new study says the Chicago metropolitan area has one of the biggest inflation problems in the nation. Wallet Hub marking that Chicago only trails New York and Minneapolis on the inflation list. Wallet Hub writer and analyst Chip Lupo.
Energy prices and labor market issues, which could be anything from increased wages that are pushing up production, and which is always a key to contributing to higher consumer prices.
Lupo says taxes are a big reason why the Chicago area's ranking is soaring. The combined state and local sales tax rate in Chicago is over 10.25%. Cubs lost to the Marlins 7-2. White Sox at 100 losses after a 9-4 defeat at the hands of the Tigers. The Bears getting ready to slash the roster by the end of cutdown day, Tuesday, 3 p.m. This year, there's only one mass cutdown day of roster action. The news service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. AM 560 news time is 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Jerry Willis, and this is the Fox Business Report.
IBM is shutting down its research and development operations in China. The closure will impact more than 1,000 people based in several cities in China. IBM says it's moving the R&D functions to other locations, including India. China's been pushing local businesses to purchase from local suppliers in a campaign nicknamed Delete America. More car shoppers are looking for plug-in hybrid models to save on gas by going electric, but keeping the security of a gas engine. Auto research firm Edmunds says the number of plug-in hybrid models on sale in the U.S. has nearly doubled in the past 5 years to 47. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says policymakers are ready to start lowering interest rates. However, economists attending the Fed's summer retreat are not predicting a U.S. recession. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jimmy Coselda. Invested in you.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees big tech at it again.
They're trying to raise that event completely from history. Google is trying to make it impossible to just search for the phrase assassination attempt of Trump. Why? Because this is who they have become.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
On August 30th, Reagan returns to office.
We are the greatest country in the world. We have just forgotten.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to him. I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make a difference in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Reagan in theaters Friday, August 30th. Rated PG-13. May not be suitable for children under 13.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
It's 8:09, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this look at the roads is a service of Blue Stars Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online, schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. An accident in Bloomingdale, Army Trail in Schwally, Barrington an accident, Route 59 and Bartlett Road, Blue Island head-on crash, serious situation, 127th and California. Tri-State, an accident, left center lane blocked, northbound, right at the Eisenhower, I-290. I-57 is due to be reopened from an earlier accident northbound. You're still jammed up, though, Sibley up to 111th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Ruth O'Brien.
An excessive heat warning in effect noon today to 10 p.m. Tuesday. Sunny to partly cloudy and hot today with a high up to 96. Partly cloudy, very warm and humid tonight, low 77. Partly sunny tomorrow with a high 97. I'm Ruth O'Brien on AM 560, The Answer.
79 at O'Hare, next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Just in response to a couple of texts and emails per our discussion at the end of last hour about Envision. I'm not suggesting anybody call Envision or email Envision. They don't need to hear from. I mean, I'm not a hyena, a barbarian like all of these peahats on the left, and the dilettantes and the quote unquote elite circles that are similarly barbarians, frankly. So there's no need to pressure, call. Don't do any of that stuff. I'm not looking to throw a temper tantrum. That's what the other side does. They demonstrated who they are. In the infamous words of Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were. And we move on. Life's too short. But there are underlying issues that are important here. Free thinking and free speaking in a free society. And this was in part the topic that Elon Musk took up in a sit-down he had with Bill Maher over the weekend. Take a listen to Musk.
So I think a lot of people thought when you bought Twitter that this is kind of an outlier. Like, how does this, what doesn't fit with these other things you're doing? I never thought that. Because I think you're dealing with big civilizational issues and problems, and I was right on your page. I think Twitter is one of them. I mean, you have talked about this woke mind virus.
Yes.
In really apocalyptic terms.
Yeah.
You should explain why you don't think it's hyperbole to say things like it's pushing civilization towards suicide. First of all, what is the woke mind virus? And if we don't deal with this, nothing else can get done. Tell me why you think that.
Yeah, so I think we need to be very cautious about anything that is anti-meritocratic and anything that is that results in the suppression of free speech. So, those are two of the aspects of the woke mind virus that I think are very dangerous. Is that it's often anti-meritocratic. You can't question things. Even the questioning is bad. So, another way to almost synonymous would be cancel culture. And obviously, people have tried to cancel you many times.
Many times.
Yeah, I mean,
every week.
Yeah.
From left and right. I've had it from both sides.
I doubt that.
Yeah. And it's interesting. People, you and I are both like in that little group of people. Maybe it's a bigger group now.
Yeah.
Who are called conservative, who haven't really changed. I don't think of you as a conservative.
I'm definitely. Yeah, like I at least think of myself as a moderate. So, I mean, at least I've spent a massive amount of my life energy building sustainable energy, electric vehicles and batteries and solar and stuff to help save the environment. That's not a.
No.
Yeah. So both the left and the right have something to hang on to with Musk as with Marr and others. It's really a tired sort of trope that's usually advanced by Marr, sometimes advanced by Musk. Oh, you're a moderate. Okay. I'd spend less time worrying about the label and more time worrying about what you're trying to process, the mind virus that he talks about, what the implications are, what the sort of unifying thought is behind those who are infected with the quote-unquote mind virus. Yeah, it's anti-meritocratic. Yeah, it's anti-free speech. But those are symptoms. What's the underlying disease? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Thomas Sowell, again, back a few months ago when his book Social Justice Fallacies came out. And he sat down with Peter Robinson from the Hoover Institution for Uncommon Knowledge, the series that he does, Interview for Uncommon Knowledge. And here's a question and answer that is much more relevant and gets a lot less attention than Bill Maher and Elon Musk.
If the social justice, those backing the social justice agenda, could have everything they wanted, what would the country look like?
We'd be killing each other.
All right. Can you give me intermediate steps?
Yeah, there's not that many intermediate steps. This weekend, 3 people killed, others injured at a diversity festival in Germany in a knife attack. The attacker allegedly shouted Allahu Akbar. So, diversity festival. At the Notting Hill Festival in the UK.
Last hour, they've given us an update that they've made 38 arrests and recovered 4 knives. And they said a man believed to be in his 20s has been stabbed. His injuries are not life-threatening. But overall, it's been a really peaceful and enjoyable day for people.
Yeah, I mean, 38 arrests, 4 knives recovered, and a stabbing incident. But all in all, everybody had a gay old time.
As they leave, there's blood stains on the floor. Okay.
Yeah. Right. And
mostly peaceful protests during George Floyd and all that. Okay.
And anybody that platforms conversations that the state can't access, well, they get arrested in the West now. If you say something, I mean, we talked about this last hour with Stephen Bucci, people in England being arrested for speech crimes because of the stabbing incident where 3 little girls were murdered in the UK, and then talk of the open borders, multicultural policies that have been pursued by both parties for the better part of 3 decades in the UK and in Western Europe generally. Boom, cops at your door. This has been happening for a while during COVID, too. Not just violating lockdown orders, but speaking in opposition to lockdown orders or whatever other COVIDian propaganda was popular in the moment. So where are we? Where are things at? You're going to have to explain to me how we get from social justice warriors getting everything they want and killing each other. No, Seoul's got it pretty well sussed out. I mean, it's frankly, it's almost linear. Something Flannery O'Connor wrote in her book Mystery and Manners that I reference semi-frequently, and actually John Cass, in his column over the weekend, johncassnews.com, referenced my referencing of Flannery O'Connor. Here's what she wrote about governing by tenderness, the sentimental barbarism that I talk about often. She wrote, if other ages felt less, they saw more, even though they saw with the blind, prophetical, unsentimental eye of acceptance, which is to say, of faith. In the absence of this faith now, we govern by tenderness. It is a tenderness which, long cut off from the person of Christ, is wrapped in theory. When tenderness is detached from the source of tenderness, meaning Christ, its logical outcome is terror. It ends in the forced labor camps and in the fumes of the gas chamber. Those are the intermediate steps that Sowell didn't delineate for Peter Robinson, but it's not necessarily concrete because the move isn't concrete. You have to get an appreciation for what the implications of what people are articulating, like when Tim Walz says that free speech doesn't cover misinformation, particularly about our democracy, whatever the hell that means. The point is, you don't know what the hell it means. And a good piece by Barton Swaim over the weekend, Barton Swaim in the Journal, about his experience at the DNC. All the struggles are connected, the solidarity and marginality, which provides the basis of the mob. As I milled about the gathering crowd, masked young adults wearing ratty clothes and yellow vests helpfully laid out stacks of pre-made placards fitted with the wooden handles. They read, Free Palestine and USA to Israel. The kids wearing vests call themselves safety marshals. Of course they're safety marshals. Safetyism. Safetyism is right next to fascism. And they weren't permitted to speak to the press, said they weren't the safety marshals. The more interesting political signs were the homemade ones. Dykes for Palatine, Cow Lives Matter. Some were ugly, killer cops, KKK, Zionists, all the same. One man wore a white T-shirt emblazoned with the words F Israel with a swastika in place of the S in the Jewish state's name. A young Asian man wearing a keffiyeh on his shoulders and a mask on his face held an all-caps cardboard bearing the words, This is not solely to defend Gaza but to liberate all of Palestine. A martyr, Haniyeh, who is the Hamas leader, killed by Israel in Iran on July 31st. And he goes on and on to document this. He summarizes, Barton Swaim in the Journal, I began to suspect this gathering was not entirely the spontaneous outcry against injustice it purported to be, tongue firmly in cheek. The whole event seemed manufactured and moneyed. Those piles of placards with wooden handles in Union Park, for example, I'm guessing 2,000 of them, took money to purchase. Someone thought it had to pay for 6 portable toilets. The sound system and the stage compete with the 40-foot overhang also weren't inexpensive. In a recent essay for Commentary Magazine, Danielle Pletka chronicles the dizzying web of nonprofits, shell organizations, and activist groups used by malign actors in China, Iran, and the Arab world to fund anti-Semitic protests on college campuses. Many of these organizations were in evidence this week in Chicago. But the point here is that the headline really is the summary of the piece. All the struggles are connected. Solidarity and marginality. How many times do we have to go through this before, and evidence do we have to present before it starts to, penetrate the general consciousness? Queers for Palestine and all this other. right? The things that are seemingly contradictions are not contradictions. If you back my play for political power, I'll back your play, and we'll distribute the power evenly when we get it. Doesn't matter as long as the attack is against an agreed-upon oppressor and on behalf of an agreed-upon victim.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line by calling that same number.
So here's where we're at. We have been the recipients of the choicest bounties of heaven. We have been preserved these many years in peace and prosperity. We have grown in numbers, wealth, and power as no other nation has ever grown. But we have forgotten God. We have forgotten the gracious hand which preserved us in peace and multiplied and enriched and strengthened us. And we have vainly imagined in the deceitfulness of our hearts that all these blessings were produced by some superior wisdom and virtue of our own. Intoxicated with unbroken success, we have become too self-sufficient to feel the necessity of redeeming and preserving grace, too proud to pray to the God who made us. It behooves us then to humble ourselves before the offended power, to confess our national sins, and to pray for clemency and forgiveness. All this being done in sincerity and truth, let us then rest humbly in the hope authorized by those divine teachings that the united cry of our nation will be heard on high. Who do you think said that? Or wrote that?
Dan Proft?
No. Not Solzhenitsyn, although it could have been Solzhenitsyn. That's exactly what he said in his speech where he received the Templeton Prize for Freedom 40 some odd years ago. The Soviet Union, just as what happened with the Bolshevik Revolution and the ensuing totalitarianism of the Eastern Bloc. They forgot God. Solzhenitsyn's observation about the Russian people. Well, that was Abraham Lincoln in 1863. Wow. This is about 3 months after the Emancipation Proclamation was in effect. And we did it all but it could be describing particularly the left, but generally speaking, our culture today. We've done it all through our own superior wisdom and virtue. Isn't that what you get all the time from the political ruling class and from these sentimental barbarians, not exclusively on the left, but dominant on the left?
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
Hey, let me tell you about our age analysis assessment. It takes just a few seconds to scan for those advanced glycated end products that cause premature aging. And then we'll briefly go over your results and give you a few things for you to do to improve. And then we'll retest you in about 60 days. And you'll pay our special low price for your first assessment, and I'll pay for your second one. That's right, your follow-up age analysis assessment is on me. And we're going to compare your biologic age with your chronologic age, and then we're going to help you determine if your biologic age is on par with your chronologic age. But you got to make that call today, not tomorrow, but today. It's our Health Quest radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Second assessment free if you make that call right now, 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11.
You hear more and more about identity theft in the news every day. That's because so much of your personal info is out of your control, like your insurance provider that has your social security number and your favorite retailer that has your payment details. If they get breached, your information's vulnerable. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code PLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they want you to think that unlimited data is fantastic. Well, the fact is, it's not. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, only charges you for data that you need. For just $25 a month, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Save money, same service with Pure Talk.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. Since 1969, we've been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows. From modern to traditional styles, Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your backyard right into your living space. Make your home feel brighter and more spacious. Our professional services, along with the best products like Marvin, are why we're proud of our 5-star reviews. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door experts in Chicagoland. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk electoral politics, POTUS politics, the RFK impact, the D.C. press corps' continued effort to memory hole Kamala's previous positions. We'll discuss it all with HotAir.com's Ed Morrissey at 8:38.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
79 degrees in Chicago at 8:32. Police and officials in Pakistan say gunmen in the country's restive southwest have killed 38 this morning in 3 separate attacks, 23 alone, simply pulled from buses, vehicles, and trucks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemning Russia's overnight and early morning barrage on his country as vile. It involved over 100 missiles of various types and 100 drones. At least 4 were killed. Moments ago, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz vowed to toughen knife laws and step up deportations as rejected asylum seekers as he visited the scene of the knife attack in which a suspected Islamic extremist from Syria is accused of killing 3. The suspect turned himself into police one day after the attack, marking that city's 650th anniversary. 1 person killed, 3 others badly hurt by a landslide. That's prompting a mandatory evacuation today in the Alaska city of Ketchikan. Candidates vying for the White House hitting the campaign trail this week. Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate kicking off a bus tour in battleground Georgia, while Republicans leveled harsh criticism against Harris and the Biden administration for withdrawing from the war in Afghanistan. Florida Congressman Mike Waltz.
The entire Democrat Party was at the DNC last week, and not a single one even said the word Afghanistan, which is just a slap in the face to everyone who served there and a slap in the face to these families.
Today marks the 3-year anniversary of the Abbey Gate bombing that killed 13 Americans and 100 Afghans outside of an airport in Kabul. The jersey worn by Yankees great Babe Ruth in that famous called shot Game 3 of the 1932 World Series sold at a New York City auction house for a record-breaking number, $24 million. Back in 2005, that same jersey worn by Babe Ruth sold for less than $1 million. Chicago facing dangerous heat levels over the next couple of days. Temperatures in the mid-90s with heat indexes over 100, and excessive heat warning is issued through tomorrow night. Cubs lost to the Marlins 7-2, while the White Sox 9-4 losers at the hand of the Tigers. The news a service of Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online, bluestarsecurityllc.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder does some quick math.
8 to 10 million illegal aliens in the country, some number, are here for bad purposes. Let's assume for a moment, do the lower number, 8 million. Let's assume, for sake of argument, 0.5% are bad guys. Do the math. That's 40,000 bad guys in the country.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Sheet metal is a big part of commercial and industrial facilities. Look around your business and you'll quickly notice how many components use sheet metal, from fan systems and hoods to machinery guards and much more. For top quality sheet metal work, get to know the pros at Vans Industrial.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vans Industrial. Vans Industrial is an industrial sheet metal contractor that can fabricate all types of alloys up to 1-inch plate. We perform jobs including chutes, hoppers, stacks, siding, and dust collection. We work in material handling facilities including steel, chemical, agricultural, food processing plants, and more. Vans Industrial can also design and perform the engineering for a complete turnkey installation. Our quality work is installed by trained mechanics who will work closely with you to make sure the job is done right.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Have you noticed all the ads for gold and silver? By now you know if precious metals are right for you. Quite frankly, most major dealers have roughly the same pricing models. Fox Valley Coins offers everything the other large national dealers offer, only with a local, personal touch. Fox Valley Coins will treat you like family. And if you want to stay anonymous, under most circumstances, they don't even need to know your name. Ha! Try that through the mail. When you buy directly from Fox Valley Coins instead of national dealers, you can pick out the actual pieces and they will scientifically analyze the items for authenticity right in front of you. That's a huge advantage. The reason is because 95% of fakes offered are purchased through the mail. Fox Valley Coins buys, sells, and performs appraisals of all precious metals, as well as rare coins and currency. Visit Fox Valley Coins in person, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins, family integrity for over 43 years.
80 degrees at 8:38. Let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Audible.com. Soak up that sun with stories on Audible. Get inspired. There's more to imagine when you listen. Sign up for a free trial at Audible.com. Kennedy inbound. Right now it is 90 minutes, an hour and 30 as you travel inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Dan Ryan's stop and go inbound Pershing to the Circle and 30 minutes, 95th into the Circle interchange. Tri-State, we have an accident, left center lane blocked northbound on 294. Right at the Ike, you're backed up to Ogden Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Sunny, near the record of 97 today. Tonight, partly cloudy, warm and humid, a low of 77 and a high of 97. Tomorrow, currently partly cloudy and 80 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Governor Jelly Belly's wife, MK, remarking on the convention that was last week, really celebrated the feminine energy that was preeminent during the New Bolshevik Party's confab there. And picking up on that feminine energy is a Princeton-educated propagandist, Catherine Rampell, who is a columnist for the Bezos Post. Move over, Ryan Gosling. The modern female fantasy is embodied by the man who might soon become our first gentleman. Emhoff appears to be a genuine mensch with an impressive career. He's smitten with his wife and supports her ambitions, as is obvious from his convention speech and their sweet interactions on the campaign trail. But most important for this sexy sobriquet,
what?
Emhoff is secure enough with his own masculinity to sometimes prioritize his wife's ambitions over his own. What a hunk.
You know that is. Okay.
Right,
You know I hate that drop.
I tried to keep it together.
He defines sexy.
I was thinking of another four-letter word for him, but it wasn't hunk. All right. Well, just Doug Emhoff, new sex symbol. The modern woman's dream man, Doug Emhoff.
Because he left.
Go dog.
And he's a hero and a true believer in feminism because he left his law practice so that he could live in D.C. with his wife.
Yeah.
Is that what makes him the cat's meow?
Yeah, that's Dog.
I mean, she's the vice president. I mean, hello.
Again, Dog Emhoff makes Alan Alda look like Spartacus, and that is center cut for today's woman. So we're told from the Princeton-educated propagandists of the world. Something else, speaking of propagandists, boy, I tell you, this memory problem that the D.C. press corps has. Here was Kamala Harris in 2020 when she was running for president, explaining to Jake Tapper why we don't need private health insurance anymore.
Just to follow up on that, and correct me if I'm wrong, to reiterate, you support the Medicare for All bill, I think initially co-sponsored by Senator Bernie Sanders. You're also a co-sponsor on it. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Well, listen, the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care. And you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company, having them give you approval, going through the paperwork, all of the delay that may require. Who of us has not had that situation where you got to wait for approval and the doctor says, well, I don't know if your insurance company is going to cover this? Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
Yeah, nothing streamlines bureaucracy like government takeovers. Okay, well, here was Tom Cotton being interrogated by Jonathan Karl, ABC News, about this very topic. Jonathan Karl's memory doesn't date back to 2020, apparently.
And President Trump is going to draw a sharp contrast with Kamala Harris, who has supported things like decriminalizing illegal immigration or giving taxpayer-funded health insurance to illegal aliens or taking away health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, banning gas cars, confiscating firearms. These are all
what do you
positions
mean
that-
taking away health insurance? What are you talking about?
She said when she ran for president that she wants to eliminate private health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, John.
Yeah, I mean that is not her position now. She
How do you know that's not her position? How do you know that's not her position?
I mean, she says she no
She
longer
has not said that.
supports
She has not said
Medicare
that.
for all.
She has not said that. Maybe anonymous aides on a Friday night have said that, but the last thing that she said
But
on
this
most
was not
of
a
these
radical convention. I mean, she as you heard me go through with Bernie Sanders, she is not taking the positions of the far left of her party. She's clearly making an effort to move to the middle.
So I guess, John, if I could, she's not saying it now. Oh, well.
You talked to her?
So then which one are we supposed to believe, and how do you know? Are we supposed to believe 2020 Kamala or 2024 Kamala?
I mean, you talk about the media trying to erase history before your very eyes, folks. That is a great example of it.
For more on this, Ed Morris, he joins us, senior editor for hotair.com. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, great to be back with you.
Boy, is there anything more entertaining than the credulous D.C. press corps? What you said 4 years ago doesn't matter. It's what you're saying now, and we'll just believe whatever we think is most advantageous to you politically right now.
It's not even what she's saying now. She hasn't said anything now.
Well,
They're literally making this up.
She's not saying what
on this.
she's not saying what she said in 2020. She's being silent on it, so we'll take her silence as walking away from it because it's helpful to her.
Right. There is literally no evidence that she has changed her position on this. Literally no evidence. There's a couple of leaks to Politico, and that's it. Right? I mean, the only thing that she's actually come out and taken a stand on has been to make the current administration policy more radical in imposing federal price controls on groceries, right? That was a week and a half ago where she talked about price gauging.
Yes.
I mean,
She meant gouging,
she didn't even know the lingo, right? She said price gauging rather than price gouging and then continued on because she has no idea what this means.
Well, she didn't know how gouge was spelled. That's why. Yeah, she mistook.
I think she knows what she's saying is wrong.
Mistook the what was on the teleprompter as could happen.
She doesn't know what she's saying
Right.
on this.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what she's talking about on economics. She has no idea. I mean, and she was a prosecutor. She wasn't somebody who came up through economics. She's a prosecutor, and I get that. But if you're going to run for president and you're going to address a crowd on economic policy, you at least have to get the lingo right. And she's not talking about anything. This is John Karl basically applying his wish casting onto the Harris campaign. Well, we want her to be more centrist. We're trying to make people think she's more centrist, so we're just going to assume that she is more centrist when there's literally no evidence at all that she has moved off the position of eliminating private health insurance from 4 years ago. And by the way, that was a position she took a couple of times, right? She took it in the Senate as well.
Well, what about the mandatory gun buyback program that she was so excited about?
Right. There's been no walk back by Harris on that. There have been people who are saying, well, she's moderated her position on that. Well, no, until she says it, we don't know what her position is. And even if she came out and said, you know what, I've decided I'm going to become a free market kind of person, and I'm fully supportive of the Second Amendment, would you trust her at this point? I mean, it sounds like she's reversing herself on a whole series, or at least the media is reporting that she's going to reverse herself on a whole series of issues. Mitt Romney reversed himself on one thing, right? Abortion, and they labeled him a flip-flopper, and did the whole dolphin flipper thing with him for the 2012 campaign.
Well, this is where Trump gets one bite at the apple, probably September 10th, and he's got to essentially be a debate moderator. He has to ask questions that demand an answer in terms of specific positions, and then say, I understand people change their positions on things. Just what is your position, and if it's changed, just to explain why it changed.
That's if the debate happens. After this segment with John Karl, he suggested on Truth Social this morning that he might not want to do the debate on ABC, and it turns out that the Kamala Harris campaign has been trying to change the rules so that the mics are left on. Now, remember, they were the ones that wanted the mics turned off during the debate with Biden. They wanted the mics turned off when somebody wasn't supposed to be speaking, which ended, and we all said it at the time, they don't realize this, that's actually going to make Trump look better. And it did, right? Because Trump wasn't interrupting. He wasn't able to interrupt. And according to the New York Times this morning, now the Harris campaign wants the rules changed to leave the mics on. And, on top of this thing with John Karl yesterday, Donald Trump is saying, what's the point of doing this, right? And his campaign is saying, look, if they want to renegotiate the debate, we'll renegotiate the debate, but it won't be on September 10th if that's what they want to do. So it's up in the air. I'm not sure that they're going to do this debate. There's another one scheduled.
I think that's posturing, and I think that Trump is wanting to get out there that this is unfair. It's unfair, and seize upon any of the evidence that is available to make that case, which there is evidence available. It's not just Jonathan Karl, but some of these other proposed moderators, like the woman who asked about who asked Gretchen Whitmer about Trump and the KKK in Michigan, and was supposed to be one of the debate moderators. But ultimately, the campaign probably needs that moment with her, and Trump just has to be disciplined enough to make good use of that moment, regardless of the rules.
Well, I agree with you, and I think the debate benefits Trump because it's the only opportunity that he's going to have to force her to answer questions in public, right? It's the only opportunity that he's going to get because the media isn't interested in forcing her to do that. And so it's to his advantage to do this debate, and I think you're right. I think he'll end up doing the debate because of that. Strategically speaking, it just makes sense. But he's going to work the refs for a while, and he's going to make it clear just how absurd this whole thing has been going, and I think it's smart of him to do that.
But he needs to be laser focused at this debate, and actually do a lot of debate prep, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean,
well, he's doing debate prep with Tulsi Gabbard right now.
Right. Yeah, he's working with Tulsi Gabbard on that. I actually think that he's been doing better in terms of messaging since that week that Harris came out and he did the NABJ, and he kind of drifted off the message in not very good ways. I don't think that week was helpful for him, but I think he's been more disciplined since then, and I think it's hard to tell because once Trump gets into a debate, he tends to just revert to form. But I'm certainly hoping that what we're going to see is something a little bit sharper and a little bit with a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Strategy. Yeah. More strategic.
Yeah, he was pretty good on Friday with Bobby Kennedy Jr. In Arizona. I mean, Kennedy Jr. was pretty good. And then the intersection between the two, they're both acknowledging their disagreements, but the intersection of the two with respect to the political ruling class in D.C. and to the forever wars and so forth I thought that was pretty strong, and I think RFK probably, as a surrogate, can probably do some of the attacking of Kamala Harris that J.D. Vance doesn't want to do, maybe, and also bring some of his voters in those battleground states into Trump's camp, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think what it does really is it bolsters his contention that he's the person who can call to the center. He's the person who wants to unify, and that he can draw people across the aisle in a legitimate way, not by forcing them to become MAGA, but just simply respecting the differences and working with them on the things that they agree on, which is the model that he's trying to work here with Robert Kennedy. And that, I think, might go a long ways with people who are lower information voters who just get tired of the fact that it's just constantly, this sort of name calling across the aisle, right? And who think that that's all politics has come down to, and they get really turned off by it. That's an opportunity for him to reach out to those people and to draw them back into the process. And we'll see if it works, but I mean, it was a great opportunity for him, and he seized on it very quickly.
Bobby Kennedy Jr. said maybe more Democrats might be coming over to join him and Tulsi Gabbard. Do you have any sense of who he might have been referring to?
No, but Dean Phillips, who was running against Biden, said that he would be willing to work in either a Democrat or a Republican administration. Of course, the only Republican administration on tap at the moment would be, Donald Trump's. So, I mean, I think maybe that's a hint of what he's talking about. I don't know that you're going to get Democrats who are willing to endorse Trump in the way that Kennedy did, but I think that you're going to have some of them start to say, look, I mean, I think that there's areas of commonality. It's not the end of the world if this guy gets elected to a second term as president, and we need to stop acting like it's, like the sky is falling.
Ed Morrissey, senior editor for hotair.com. Ed, thanks as always.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Attention, anyone with high blood pressure.
If you want to seriously control your blood pressure and not be a walking time bomb,
Order 120 Life today.
120 Life is an amazing blend of superfruit juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure. It's been endorsed by thousands of health professionals and doesn't have the side effects of medication.
With ingredients that have shown to naturally help control blood pressure, 120 Life could be the natural game changer in your life.
Try it for yourself, risk-free, with a 2-week trial pack.
Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
120 Life is so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in just 2 weeks, they'll give you your money back if you're not satisfied.
Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. From pomegranates to cranberries, it's the delicious way to lower blood pressure.
Go to 120life.com now. Use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
Listen up, if you're in pain because of arthritis or because of an injury, if you have pain in your knees, hips, back, or shoulder, it can be very restrictive. You can't have the life you used to have. You can't play pickleball, golf, spin, lift weights, do yoga. And you can do something without surgery or cortisone shots or pain pills. You can talk to our good friends at QC Kinetics. Everybody's talking about regenerative medicine. You can enhance your joints, improve mobility, and get your life back without pain pills, drugs, or surgery, or downtime. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are experts in these amazing treatments, and they're led by National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup. He's a former orthopedic surgeon, 30 years, and he's based right here in the Chicago area. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting breakthrough using cellular therapies. They've got tens of thousands of satisfied patients, and the consultation is completely free. So do not wait. Call today to get lasting joint pain relief with help from QC Kinetics. Again, it's a free consultation. You have nothing to lose. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. The number to call, write it down, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955, 809-5955.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
On August 30th, Reagan returns to office.
We are the greatest country in the world. We have just forgotten.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to him. I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make a difference in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Reagan in theaters Friday, August 30th. Rated PG-13. May not be suitable for children under 13.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, we have another debate watch party, take 2.
September 10th, Moretti's Unique Events in Hoffman Estates. Buffet dinner, watch the debate, see if Kamala crumbles. Get your tickets today at 560theanswer.com/debate. Again, 560theanswer.com/debate. Moretti's, Hoffman Estates, September 10th. Be there.
Yep, we'll see you then. Thanks to Keith Conrad, who's in for Quinn, and to Justin Kosick, one of the best in the business. Couldn't do it without him. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. Now let's hit that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Dangerous heat heads for Chicago today. Police are searching for suspects after the shooting of police officers on the south side.